going to hell in a handcart. I'm almost at a fucking point where I really don't care. I'll just watch whatever they fucking put in front of me. You know, if it's topless football or...
Are you thinking about the Women's World Cup again?
Yeah. I'll just watch whatever they put in front of me.
Did you not know that City were a big club? Something was going to happen.
And the guy's response was, take me phone and my wallet, just don't hurt me.
I've not lived it, so I don't feel like I can feel typical City in a way that you have, because you've seen it from what you said, 2-0 down against Gillingham it was. You're like, oh, this is typical City. Our typical City is not scoring a 94th minute goal against Spurs to get into the Champions League final.
This is Man City Fan TV, Podcast Raw.
I'm feeling this city like I'm dealing with titties. One mic, one hook.
Hello everybody. So this week I'm joined by Karl, Martin and Andy, who you might recognise. So how you guys doing?
Good.
I'm not bad, thanks.
So I believe, Karl, you're joining us from the United States?
That is correct. I'm in the US. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning here, and I'm glad to join you guys to talk about City, my favorite club.
Fantastic. Martin, you're joining us from Manchester?
Yeah. Lovely warm Manchester.
Don't even start. It is roasting. And Andy, you're joining us because you're our leader, and you're joining us from Myanmar still.
I'm in Myanmar, yeah, or Burma, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I'm still out here until my flight in the morning back to Manchester.
You guys know the format of this podcast already. I love the controversy, so let's dive straight into it, shall we? Why are Manchester City so fucking virulently hated by everyone on the planet that isn't a Manchester City fan? I'm going to ask Karl first because he's our most international of guests.
Yeah, well, so I'll give you my background a little bit. So I'm one of the new City fans. I think I joined just before the Etihad Sheikh Mansour money came in. All my friends were Chelsea, Manchester United, Liverpool fans. I'm like, I'm not doing that, man. I want something fresh, something new. I want to root for the underdog and see what can be done with investment and proper management. And so I became a City fan about 11, 12 years ago. So I'm one of the new ones. And no shame in that. I respect the past. I look forward to the future. Why are we hated? 2 reasons or 3 reasons. One, because nobody wants a small, a relatively small, small in terms of trophies and club to get success. Nobody likes the fact that a new club is challenging United or Chelsea or Arsenal or Liverpool. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes the fact that the fans are so dedicated and love the club even when the club was down. And nobody wants them to succeed because of the old gang. That really is the issue why. But I don't care. Don't care. I wear the shirt proudly. I wear the badge proudly. I don't give two shits about what people think. For me, I love what's happening with Man City. I love what the club is doing in the community, what the club is doing locally. I love what they're building in Manchester. I've been there probably 6 or 7 times. I come there every 2 or 3 times a year at my own cost, and I absolutely love it. And
small. I'm sorry, I have to just butt in there for a second before we get Martin's response. I'm not having to go away, but small.
No,
first English team to win a European trophy. Granted, nobody cares that we won that European trophy in 1970, but we did. We had the largest ever attendance for an FA Cup game, and we're the only football team to come from Manchester.
When I say small, I mean in terms of Premier League or Champions League history. That's what I'm talking about. A lot of people who are new look at that as the baseline, right? That's what they're looking at.
Not even Forest have won the Champions League, and they're fucking irrelevant.
Well, I agree with you.
As is the Champions League.
Right, but I'm just saying from the perspective of the international audience, that's what they kind of look at, right? But now that we've had 4 Premier League wins, we've won the FA Cup a couple of times, won the League Cup a couple of times, it's growing, and the traction is growing. So that's a perspective, at least from over here, why the club is not really as big as following as, say, Liverpool, Man United. Nevertheless, it's growing, man. It's growing every single day. Every single day it's growing. There are more followers. Kids are getting on. My kids are all 4 of them are all Man City fans. My 3-year-old actually sings the Wonderwall song. He wears a jersey to practice. Shit is growing, man. I'm telling you. So it's a new turn. It's a new generation.
Okay. Martin.
Okay. And this is no disrespect to Karl, because everyone's entitled to an opinion. Please don't think I'm having a go at Karl. But Yeah, I'm a little bit behind you on there, Rob. This small comment. Now, now, the reason we're a threat, nobody likes it now, is because we are a threat. But what people forget is, everyone seems to think the Premier League, the football began in 1992 when the Premier League began. Well, I might go into a little bit of the weeds here, and I might end up giving people a history lesson, and I do apologise for that. But as Andy knows, I'm a little bit strong on this one. People need to realise what we were. You go up to fortunately we can't. Joe Mercer, Malcolm Allison. Tell them that City are a small club. No, we're not. We're a small club in terms of trophies back in the late 80s, going into the 90s and the 2000s. Before then, we were up there challenging. We won the league at St James's Park. We didn't just have the highest attendance for an FA Cup. We had the highest attendance in the league. I think back in, it was either 1890, something like 1904 at Main Road.
Speaking of small clubs, Newcastle United. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. Well, we'll bring John to another topic in a moment, which I'm going to throw in. But they sit and they talk about that with this small club. We had the highest attendance ever for a league game up until Tottenham broke it in their fake home stadium, which wasn't even in their actual stadium. It was at Wembley. So I don't even count that. So technically, we've still got the highest attendance. So people, it goes back to this with no fans, with this small little club. We're not. We're small in terms of when the Premier League began.
Right. No, I agree.
That's my opinion of it.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I just absolutely agree with you. But I think that when you ask the new fans who are on board, they don't have that history. I mean, I've taken the liberty of actually going back and looking at most of the games back and done the research. So I understand the club, as much as I can.
To side with Karl here, guys.
What you said, Karl.
Mm-hmm.
Just to give you the input here, just to side with Karl a second. If you're an American fan, or you're a fan from China, or South Africa, or Australia, or wherever you are in the world, the Premier League, or even Division 1, or English football was irrelevant to you until you were seeing it on TV anyway. And even then. So to talk about the glory years of Manchester City or anything like that, it's fucking irrelevant to the modern era in reality, because it just didn't exist. It wasn't broadcast over there. Sure, anyone can watch YouTube highlights. Sure, anyone can read books by all the former players, read, all the rest of that sort of stuff. But the only thing that really counts in football is what's happening right now. And what's happening right now, at least in the last decade, 2 decades, is the fact that the Sky Sports have spread that global agenda. And it just so happened that teams like Man United and Liverpool, and to an extent Chelsea and Arsenal, were the teams that was at the forefront of everything.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. But then you ask for the perception, right? The perception is not based on what happened 20, 30, 40 years ago. It's what happened now. So a lot of the fans who are United Liverpool fans who are 50s, 40s, 60s now, some are young, but that's a background that they've had. That's all they've been exposed to. They don't go back to the years of the Division 1 when City were challenging for trophies. They don't go back that far. They look at what's available now. What I'm saying is that's beginning to change, though. The younger generation now getting on board and adopting and looking at the history and building on the success of the club.
We're getting kind of bogged down in the argument about size of the club. What I'm trying to ascertain is, why are we so hated around the world? So Andy, why are we hated, pal? You're in Myanmar right now. People have heard over there that you're a City fan and you've had bricks thrown at you in the street, I've heard.
Certainly at the driver on the way to the airport, Look, listen, I never get bogged down in the terminology when people say about big or small clubs. It's all subjective. There's nobody says this is the wordage that is used to justify a description of what is a big club or what is a small club. I don't get it. I don't buy into the whole argument of it because it's irrelevant as far as I'm concerned. It's all about the here and now. When you talk about, are we a big club? Most people will talk about big club because of the amount of supporters worldwide. I know, being in Myanmar right now, I see lots of United shirts. I went into a little shop on the corner that was selling shirts, and I was looking to see, they were all rip-off shirts and things like that, and I was looking to see if there was a City one. There wasn't. There was Juventus, Inter Milan, United, Liverpool, blah, blah, blah. No City shirts. He said, they're coming in next week. I said, well, I'm not here next week, so tough, you're not getting any money out of me. So I just was going to buy see what it was like. But we haven't got the fan base that since television was introduced. And we've got to remember this spread across the globe happened when Sky came in, because people could then watch football on television worldwide. So that is when the big clubs, if you want to call them big clubs, were winning Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues and things like that, back from when it did actually start in sort of 92 and Sky and everything else. We were not a threat to those teams around that time that Sky was broadcasting worldwide football games. So we are now where we are at the moment. We are, 15, 20 years behind, or 15 years behind where United, Liverpool, Chelsea, those type of clubs are. But as Karl said, it is growing rapidly. Now, as far as, so put that to one side with the big or small club. I'm not really interested. I'm only interested in Manchester City. I don't care whether Liverpool have a bigger fan base worldwide than Man City do. I don't care. I really don't care. But as far as the hatred...
17 million of them turned up for the parade for that small European trophy, so...
Yeah, I believe every single flight, SAS flight from Scandinavia was booked, and I think every Aer Lingus and Ryanair flight was booked as well. And every Virgin train from London was booked, and you name it. But it's irrelevant. I mean, it's all a bit of tit for tat between fans. It's a bit of banter because nobody can prove one way or the other what is the definition of big and what is the definition of small. So it's irrelevant. When you said about hatred, that's a different thing. Now, as you know, prior to us winning our first Premier League with the 93-20 moment, nobody really gave a shit about City. Didn't care. I mean, all right, we were bought out, but it was, we were bought out the year before by Thaksin Shinawatra, and people were saying, yeah, it's not gonna end well. But suddenly, we win a Premier League, we win an FA Cup, we take down that banner, we win a Premier League. So now we're on this roll of back-to-back champions.
Something that Ferguson didn't achieve in 20 years in the Premier League, by the way, the points total. Either of the points totals.
Any of his comments that he made at the time have come back to, bite United fans. And I'll be honest with you, out of all of when you say about hatred, I don't really see it from United fans. Certainly not the older generation. Yeah. The older generation tend to be more objective with it. Yeah,
if you're a United fan, if you're a United fan and you lived in Manchester, Andy, you'd have to be one thick bastard to hate anything about City. And the reason for that is because of what CFG have done for the city itself.
Oh, absolutely unbelievable what they've done. And like you said, most of the sensible United fans, you only have, if you go on Twitter and follow somebody called Pundit J. He's a big United fan. I've interviewed him for the channel, and he constantly tweets about look where we are now compared to where City are, and look at our business model compared to City's. Who is doing it right? Of course, it's City. We need to now be following what City do in the transfer market, the business policy, everything that's to do with it. So I think with the United fan base, the older generation, I think that a lot of them are quite happy. There are obviously some of the bitter ones and things, but they're quite happy to put their hands up and go, yeah, you're doing it right. You've not won as many trophies as us, but I'm concerned of where you are going to be in 10, 15 years' time. It's the Liverpool fan base are the ones that are creating this hatred. And one minute, Karl. The one thing that they cannot do, and this is, they can talk about trophies and they can talk about this. City fans can go back and say, well, hold on a minute, you've never won a Premier League in the Premier League era. Blah, 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 blah. The one thing they can never, ever accuse Man City fan base of is support. Because they know in their heart of hearts that when we were down in Division 2, the old or League 3, etc., they know that we were drawing in between 29 and 33,000 fans at home every single week.
Built two new stands.
Every single away trip back in the 80s and 90s, I mean, even now, but every single away trip back in those dark days, was the capacity was full. by Manchester City fans going to some of the shittiest stadiums I've ever been to.
Oh, yeah, we filled
And
grounds.
still-
We filled grounds.
Oh, absolutely. And that is one thing that I think really at the core of their argument, they're still pissed off with the fact that they can't go back and go, well, when you were in League Two or when you were in Division 2 or Division 1, you couldn't fill. No, we filled our ground at home every single week, and we took masses and masses to away games to some of the crappiest things that their fan base and United's fan base and other big teams like Chelsea and us have never ever been able to experience.
Yeah. So what I'll do
is, for me, is a difference.
Before I bring Karl and Martin back in on this, just before I bring you guys back in on it, what I want to say is, when I talk about hatred, Andy, and Karl and Martin, what I'm talking about is when I look at, there are certain other YouTubers out there and certain other podcasters out there. There's one that does one for Newcastle United. He hates City because what happened to us didn't happen to Newcastle.
Yeah, I've been blocked. Been blocked by him.
There are certain professional pundits out there that hate City because it happened to City and not their club. Certain City fans who worked in the media, like Lee Dixon for one, was binned off Match of the Day the second that City got big. Not only that, you look at clubs like Newcastle and Sunderland when they were all throwing the season tickets into the Tyne, and when Sunderland got relegated, they were not filling their stadium still. Neither of them. No. Neither of them filled their stadiums.
No.
When you look at Manchester United now, and I'm not talking about the old hardcore support, I totally agree with you. That old hardcore support at United, they're genuine fans. I'm talking about the Glory Boys. They're starting to wane now. They're starting to think about reassessing their season tickets and getting the Ryanair flights over. And they're full of bile and hatred. And when you look at Liverpool Football Club, which is United to me, United have always been an enemy because they're our technically closest neighbours. But I understand now why United hate Liverpool so much. I really do understand why United hate Liverpool so much.
Yeah. Me too. I always, you always thought it was obviously Liverpool United from yesteryears with the teams that had let's face it, United fans, and this is no slight in any way, shape or form, but United fans had a large fan base in Ireland. They had a very large fan base in London. They had a very large fan base in Scandinavia and Thailand and places like that. So did Liverpool. So does Liverpool. And I think that also creates this, has created the environment of this Champions League, who's going to win, who's getting the most trophies between Liverpool. And I never really understood it because we were crap. We were irrelevant to winning trophies at the time. Now I can understand the hatred that United fans have for Liverpool fans. I can understand it because I've witnessed it and been involved in it.
So what I'll do now is...
I get it.
I want to ask Karl.
Yes.
Karl, given the fact that you live in the States, mate, now you don't get Sky unless you're watching a dodgy stream. You get like ESPN or Fox Soccer or something like that.
We actually get everything you guys get and more, man.
No, I know you get more, yeah, because I lived there myself for a while and I had Fox Soccer and I watched every game that I wanted to watch. But what are your commentators like? I know that you get people like Steve McManaman and all the rest of it, like ex-English footballers that come over and do your commentary. But what's the sort of media narrative in the United States?
So I'll tell you, so two things. So a lot of my friends are United fans, and there's mutual respect between us because we respect their trophies that they've won, and we respect and they respect what we're doing right now. Liverpool fans here in the US are disgusting. I mean, literally, some of them are just completely horrible. There's a hate. Oh, it's horrible. It is. I mean, even friends of mine who are doctors and lawyers and investment bankers who are Liverpool fans are just, the hatred and the jealousy is just, it's incredible. And it's only when we started winning things that they became the enemy. And I'm asking them, dude, what happened? Why all the hatred? I thought United was your biggest rival. Why suddenly you now?
It's because we've only been trying for 8 years and they've not won it in 30.
Exactly. I think the issue is the Premier League. It's the albatross that just keeps them bogged down. They've never won it. They have never smelt it. Every time they try to win it 3 times, it's been us that stopped them. So that I think that's the issue with them, and the fact that we are a genuine threat to them. Now, in terms of the media over here, overwhelmingly the media supports Liverpool. I mean, even on one of the channels that we watch, the Premier League on every Saturday and Sunday, you can tell that they want Liverpool to win. You can tell every single match, every single play, they want Liverpool to win. I mean, it's difficult, but we always fire back. We go online and we fire back to them and say, look, the bias is incredible. So because of FSG over here and the whole Boston Red Sox and all that, there is a slight bias towards Liverpool Football Club because of that. But Man City's growing every single day here. The more fans coming on board. And I walk on the subway or the metro or the underground, you see people with T-shirts and jerseys wearing the club shirt. So it's growing, but there is a battle with capturing the minds of the general public and moving them from, this hype of Liverpool towards, consistent, beautiful football that we play.
Okay, Martin, you're on the front lines. Tell me about it. Tell me about what you see.
Well, the one thing I have noticed, and I got to agree with Andy and Karl and yourself, totally agree with what you said. But the one thing that I've noticed, there was always a hatred between Liverpool and United. But since we've come on the scene, it's suddenly, I'm now hearing comments of, well, United and Liverpool fans didn't like each other, but they had respect for each other. Now all of a sudden, they hate us, and there's no respect for us because of the way we're doing it. And that's to quote one or two. You get people like Goldbridge, you get channels like Anfield Agenda that jump on. And I do watch some of them because I think it's quite funny actually listening to the fans and the way they go on. And it's all of a sudden this mutual respect between the two. And
what is the way we're doing it?
It's a hatred to us.
What is the way we're doing it?
Well,
I mean, as far as I'm aware, we've not broken the top 10 record transfers. So what is the way we're doing it?
Well, according to them, is that we are quite happily throwing £50 million cheques around for players. Their argument is on that. Yes, we've not bought a record player for 100, 150, 200 million pound. Fair enough. But what they're saying is, what we're buying 5, 10, 15, whatever players at £50 million a piece. They're saying they
not have
can't
to play
do
catch
that.
up. Are they not capitalists?
Exactly.
Are they all communists?
Exactly. Because they don't like the monopoly being broken. That's why there's hatred. That's why all this FSP crap came in. Find out FFP crap came in.
We'll get onto FFP in a little bit. I just want to talk purely about the hatred and the narrative.
Yeah, well, this is, like I said, we'll go on the FFP in a bit, but it's kind of all linked in a way of this hatred for us. To me, it's just jealousy. It's a monopoly that's been broken up that they don't like. That there's a new boy on the scene, they don't like it, and they will do anything they can.
Why isn't there as much hatred and vitriol with regards to teams like Chelsea? I mean, Chelsea are a team that, and you can Google this if you want, if you listen to this podcast, Chelsea is a team at average attendances of 10, 15,000. They're a small club. They are a small club.
Exactly, but there's no long-term goal behind them. Like we've got. So
the threat isn't as much because we've actually got structure and a long-term plan. I get it. So basically, they're all petulant, is what you're saying. They're ridiculous because they didn't do it first. Because they didn't make hay while the sun was shining. They're crying. They're throwing the toys out the pram. Yeah. Okay.
The toys been thrown out the pram because we are still going to be here in 20, 30 years. Chelsea might be, but looking at the way they're doing it, they won't be. But we are still going to be there in 20 and 30 years because we are doing it the right way.
Okay, right. So I want to give Karl and Andy their last 2 cents before we move on to the next part of this, all right?
Well, I think the issue really is sustainability. Think about this, right? You built a world-class operating facility in Manchester, transformed the Eastlands, I believe the Eastlands, into a world-class structure, in and out. And then you have the brash and the balls to go hire the world's best manager. Think about that, right? He didn't go to Man United. He didn't go to Chelsea, who wanted him. He didn't go to another club, Liverpool. He came to Manchester City.
So you don't think we should have got an ex-player? You don't think we should have got like a Glauber Bertie or a Richard Dunn to managers? No. We shouldn't have adopted the United model. No.
Right. But that is part of the issue. When Pellegrini was there, the hatred wasn't this much, man. I'm telling you. But now that you have Guardiola, I'm telling you, it's just the expectation as we ratchet it up, 3 knots and the pressure and the vitriol, especially with the kind of football that we play.
But no offense, right? Guardiola, no offense to Guardiola and no offense to what you're saying, but Guardiola is actually, in the grand scheme of Manchester City, Guardiola is actually a pretty small cog. Sure, he's the face, and he's made some amazing football happen. But in the grand scheme of Manchester City, he's actually a small part of it. Like
right, but my point is the fact that we got him. Man United didn't get him. Liverpool didn't get him. Chelsea didn't get him. We got him, right?
Yeah, but when I look at a Chelsea in the early 2000s, when they got Mourinho, they weren't Chelsea FC anymore. They were Mourinho FC. When United got Mourinho, they weren't United anymore. They were Mourinho FC. We're not our manager. Our manager is an amazing manager. He is the best manager in the world. Totally agree with you. But he is just a piece of the machine. He's a piece of the puzzle.
No, agreed. But the fact is that you got him. You got him. Nobody else got him. You did. He came over to you. That's the issue. He didn't go to the so-called European elite clubs, right? He went to Manchester City to build and build upon what has already been started. That's the issue. That's the issue. If you got, let's say, what's the guy's name? Stuart Pearce. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares about that, right?
Okay. All right,
so
Andy.
That's the issue.
What do you want to ask me?
Just your last 2 cents, mate, before we move on to the next topic, Bob.
Are we talking about the hatred?
Yes, that's right, mate.
Yeah. The only thing, it's jealousy. It's just simple. It's competition. We're a human being. We don't like competition. Some people do like competition, drives them forward to make them a better person. But on the whole, generally, the majority of the population do not like competition.
Hold on. So are you equating it to the fact that they're all Bible bashers then and don't believe in evolution? Because competition is born of evolution, mate. You have to evolve. You have to evolve and make things better.
Well, that's exactly what Manchester City have done. We've invested in a squad. We've invested in an area. We've invested in infrastructure. We've invested in housing. We've invested in job creation. We've invested in our company, as in the Abu Dhabi group and the CFG and Sheikh Mansour has invested £1 billion with Manchester City Council.
I wish they'd sort out the metro and the fucking buses.
Well, if it was if I'm sure if Sheikh Mansour and his team were in charge of Man City's council, it would be sorted out. But unfortunately, they're only investing that money into.
You heard it here first, Andy Burnham.
There you go. Yeah.
Rob, okay. But what I don't understand, Rob, is why the English media, some in the English media hate Man City. That's what I don't understand.
Oh, it's called racism. It's called racism.
For the life.
It's called. I'll tell you something. We'll probably come on to this in your future questions, but yeah. I'm not going to go into the whole naming the individuals, journalists that are working for certain papers, because I'm sure Rob's going to ask a question in the future about that. But you tell me how many Manchester City supporting journalists there are out there, with the exception potentially of Stu Brennan, and I'm not sure whether Stu Brennan is actually a lifelong City fan, but he is in favour of Man City. How many journalists do you read articles from in the mainstream media, papers, by Manchester City supporting journalists?
I think Brennan's a technicality, to be fair.
Well, it is I think it is a technicality. So if I name those individuals now and say, who does Delaney support? Who does Duncan Castle support? Who does Nick McGeechan support?
Who does Simon Stone supports?
So I can go on and name all of these journalists, and they are pretty much narrowed down to 2 clubs. And those 2 clubs are the 2 clubs we've just been discussing.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So there you go. There's your answer, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So FFP allegations. Now, the day that Manchester City won the league, a celebrity died. I think she was in The Wizard of Oz or something. I think it might have been Doris Day or something like that died. Okay. So the main headline on the day that City did the domestic treble at that point, before we played in the FA Cup, was the Charity Shield, the League Cup, and the Premier League. Right. So that was the main headline on the BBC, which, by the way, is an impartial broadcasting service that serves the whole of the public, not specific parts of the public, although it does seem very different to that. The next day, the main article on the BBC website was Manchester City have been held FFP allegations, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so what I want to ask you guys is, and I'm going to start with Karl on this one, is it over? I mean, because it's died down a little bit, or is this the calm before the storm? Is there any reason to be concerned by FFP and the allegations, or
I mean, I don't think it's over. I think this is probably the calm before the storm. I think there has to be a closure on this particular issue with the whole UFFP. The issue is, does UEFA want to get into the dogfight on this issue? Because if you open up that can of worms, trust me, there are 1,001 cans that will be opened, and then the shit's going to hit the fan. And then what do they do then? So if they're going to take this all the way, it's going to be dirty, because I can guarantee you there are things with other clubs that are going on that nobody wants to know. So they got to think about this one really hard before they start to push the buttons. Because
Sky and Man United doped the Premier League for 2 decades. So is that all going to get brought up? Where does it start? How far back does the paper trail go?
How does a club in Spain afford to pay 120 million for one player and wants to buy another one that's worth probably 200 million?
It's called state sponsorship, isn't it?
Well, that's the whole point. So where do they draw the line? So they have
what they do is they find out what exactly it is City have done wrong. And by the way, we've probably got the best fucking lawyers in the world, so good luck on that one. You find out exactly what City have done wrong that other clubs haven't done wrong. You redraw the fucking rules of what's wrong in the guidelines, and then you just go after City.
But I trust the club. If a club of this magnitude with the resources, they'll be able to fight it and fight. Worst case scenario, what happens? Worst case scenario, okay, we don't get in the Champions League, right? So what? We miss it.
I save a couple of hundred. I save about $2,000 a year on not being in the Champions League, so I'm alright with it.
Win the quadruple again or the treble again and move on. Listen.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, fans just need to chill. Let's just take it.
So mine, tell me all about it, mate. Why is FFP going to close our club down?
FFP aren't going to close our club down because, as you say, FIFA are not going to take us on in court. They won't do it, and that's why Infantino at the time, or UEFA, made a deal with us 5 years ago. I think it's just all. It's a little bit of gamingship going on at the minute. Now I can't say the difference to the FA charges. If we get found out there, we get found out there. Which I do think we will. Probably get into some trouble with that. But regarding FFP, I think we'll be fine. I think it all just comes up just to detract away from our from our trophies, our wins, everything that we do. Because as you said, these stories only come out when we do something.
The other issue is
have we won trophies, have we?
These emails are hacked.
Apparently so.
These emails are hacked, right? They're hacked. Mm-hmm. And hasn't the hacker been caught and being charged right now in Portugal?
I don't see the relevance. When it comes to Manchester City, Manchester City are the most evil dictatorship on the planet, surely. So, I mean, you whatever means you need to take them down, right?
I think to your point, I think it's racism. To your point, I think that's part of the issue as well.
We'll get onto the racism side of it in a minute. We'll get onto that in a minute. Andy, tell me, FFP, are we going out of business?
We're certainly not going out of business, that's for sure. As you know, on Man City Fan TV, I've, for the last 12 months, 10 months, we've been doing tons of stuff on FFP since the original articles broke, and I've done interviews with Presswich Blue, Colin Savage. I've spoke to Jonathan Northcroft from the Sunday Times about FFP, and I've done loads of videos. So if anyone's listening and you've not seen them, go and check those videos out. I'm not a financial expert, I'll be honest with you, but I have done an awful lot of research and reading into it, because when you're interviewing individuals, you want to sort of come across as if you know a little bit about what you're talking about. But what I will say is that UEFA and FIFA have been proven to be one of the most corrupt organisations in the world. We know that. So I think it's
hold on. Andy's got some breaking news here. What? FIFA corruption?
Well, there you go. Now, as we know, very briefly, I'm going to be really brief on this. UEFA set up FFP ruling so they could protect the elite clubs against the nouveau riche. We know that the likes of Man City, PSG, we know that was the reason behind it, because they were in very close cahoots with the likes of Bayern, United. We know about David Gill now and everything else, and where he sits on this whole panel with FIFA and others. We know it was set up by we're in cahoots with clubs like I said, Bayern, PSG, United, the likes of Inter Milan, AC Milan, Real Madrid, to protect their, cut of income. Now, when all this FFP stuff comes out, I think the basis of it is, now I don't know for certain whether City Group, whether Pierce, who is the PR director of City and the Abu Dhabi state, I don't know whether what has been released is true, has been amended, has been put out in certain parts to make it read as though this is fact, when there could have been 30 or 40 other emails in between each reply, which when all fits together, you realise it's actually a load of nonsense. We don't know that. We have no clue. Now, if City have actually done something that is catastrophic and not circumnavigated the rules of FFP, but actually blatantly disregarded them, then we should be punished. That's a fact, and I don't think any normal City fan could argue against that, because if you do, then that's just showing sort of bias for being a City fan.
Yeah,
if we have actually directly flaunted the rules blatantly, and we get found guilty of that and proven guilty of that, then we should be banned, we should be fined, we should be whatever happens. Now, the key to it is, if you run a business and you're a business owner, then you obviously, if you're a limited company, you have to employ accountants. Yeah, I do. You do. Whoever runs a business does. What do you employ your accountants to do at the end of your tax year? What is the one thing as a business owner of a company you want your accountants to do?
To make it look like all of those nights out on the piss were write-offs for business reasons.
Well, so basically, you want to pay as little tax as possible at the end of the day, don't you? You don't want to, pay as much tax as you can. So you employ your accountants too. And it was interesting. I was at Wembley one time, and I'm not going to name the name, but he was a friend of mine who would certainly go to Wembley and meet outside the Etihad sometimes. And he owns quite a big business. And he turned around to me and said, we were talking about business. And he said to me, when he sends me my bill, it says 0 tax on it. That's all I care about on there. And that's what we all do. We don't want to pay what we don't want to pay. We want to pay as limited amount of money as possible on our tax return. Now, City are employing accountants to look at every single loophole, just like we employ accountants to look at every single loophole to, can I claim this on my VAT? Can I claim that on this? Can I claim this? Am I able to do this? And as long as it's legal, that's what we employ accountants for. To try and say, we can put this through the business, we can say this is this, we can do it. As long as it's illegal, HMRC can't do anything about it. And that is exactly the same with FFP rulings and the regulations. That City are employing a group of individuals to look at loopholes whereby we can exploit it, because we were in a chasm of a given time where we had to accelerate our spending to get us as quickly up the ladder and as close to fighting against the likes of United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal as we could, because we knew that door was going to close very, very quickly. So we
It's a strange thing. It's a strange thing in football, Andy, that doesn't really exist in the wider business world. Now, being a businessman myself, and you're a businessman, most businesses don't really make a profit or much money, if at all, in the black for the first year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Yeah. So why is football different? Why is football different?
Well, because, as we know, people tend to only look, when you look at a club in isolation, any club, it could be City, it could be Burnley, it could be a newly promoted club, let's say, who's been in the season. Let's say, who stayed up this season? Somebody shout out. Who stayed up this season, who came up? Well, let's say Wolves. Let's say Wolves. And they look at it and say, wow, they're going to make £120 million this year for staying up in the Premier League or finishing here. That's a huge amount of money. They only look at that. They don't look at the expenditure of the club on salaries and wages and infrastructure. And, there's teams of hundreds of people they still have to pay for. Not Diego Jota or Moutinho. There are hundreds of people they have to pay salaries to. So there's this misconception of, well, they're getting this X amount, so that must be purely. A lot of that goes. It does go. Now we're in a fortunate position. We're signing massive deals with the likes of Puma. So there is this huge income, and we had to get from where we were massively in debt and we had this accelerated spending to get us in with these big clubs before they closed the door on us. And we managed to do that. But obviously, other clubs didn't like that fact that we've got a nouveau-riche club. Hey, what's going on here? Joining our club, they're allowed to come in because of all this money spent. This is not right. We don't want another club from England, like Chelsea were, joining our actual club. What's going on? So the pressure that was put on UEFA included this whole FFP regulations and things like that. Now, like I said, accountants are there to do the best they possibly can for their client. The same things are these FFP specialists that work for Manchester City in the group are there to try and look at every single loophole they can circumnavigate to make sure that we can spend, or we used to spend, as much money as we possibly can to buy the best players we possibly can to make sure we stay in that elite group that we've just joined. Now, they obviously don't like that. We know that. Now, the only other thing I will say on FFP are two things. One, go back if you haven't, and I implore you to read it. In 2013, in March 2013, Martin Samuel interviewed Michel Platini on a private jet with his solicitor and another individual. I think David Gill was actually on board that flight. If you go back and search it in Google and read that article, Martin Samuel at the time in 2013, so we're going back now, well, what, 6 years ago, he turned around and said that this is absolutely nonsense. This is absolutely nonsense. It's against any company's best business practice to try and restrict somebody who wants to invest in a club. It's just crazy. And Platini wouldn't have it. And even back then, Martin Samuel was saying, this is just being brought in basically. You have to be careful with his language. This is just being really brought in to protect the elite clubs. You know that, but he wouldn't say, yes, it is. And David Gill chipped in with his little 2 penneth worth and things like that. Now, if you look at that FFP ruling, if you look at FFP try and look at it as in a simplistic way as possible. All you need to do is say one thing: how much investment of Manchester City owners or owner, and we keep saying we're owned by the Abu Dhabi state. It's the owner, Sheikh Mansour. It's his money. He's put in over £1 billion into Manchester City, and that's what just solely on the club. Forget the regeneration area and what he's done with Manchester City Council and everything else. Took nothing from the club. Yet on the other side of Manchester, or just outside of Manchester, you've got the likes of the Glazers, who are Americans, have taken over $1 billion in interest payments out of Man United. They still carried and occur, regardless of whether they can service the debt or not, over a £500 million debt to the club. Now, FFP. What is FFP all about? When one club can do that, granted, they do receive the income. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, they can't service the debt. They can do, because they're a massive club and they make massive revenue. But when it comes to ethics and principles of FFP, how can one owner of a club invest over $1 billion into it and take nothing out of it and invest in regeneration of an area, yet another owner can actually take out over £1 billion to make sure they service the debt in the ownership of a club? It's absolute fucking bollocks, and it will run and run and run for the next 2-3 years, because Manchester City Group will ensure, like Khaldoon said, they will throw $30 million or whatever it takes to get 10, 20, 30 of the best lawyers in the world to wrap UEFA up in circles. And what they'll do is they'll turn around and make UEFA expose every single conversation that they have had with other clubs like United, like Liverpool, like Real Madrid, like Bayern, like Barcelona, and everything else. So exactly. in the short term, for me, this will run and run and run. This is not going to be a short-term thing. And UEFA now are realising that City are playing hardball. Now, like I said to you, I'm a City fan, and I'm certainly not a biased City fan that will fall on one side or the other. I will turn around and say, if City have actually screwed UEFA and done something completely wrong, then we deserve a ban. We deserve a fine. We deserve whatever's coming our way. And as City fans, we have to accept that. But if not, then City should do everything they possibly can to make a stance against UEFA and expose them as a corrupt organisation that they have been proven to be, like FIFA, over the past 4 or 5 years.
They will. They've poked. What's that old saying? They poked the bear or poked the snake or whatever it is. They will.
Ah. The hornet's nest.
The hornet's nest. Yeah, I don't give a fuck about FFP, and I really don't think that City have anything to face. Well, they have something to face, but they don't have anything to answer for. Because I think we will absolutely make mincemeat of UEFA, FIFA, whoever wants to come against us in the court of law. I think we'll absolutely.
I'll be honest with you. My thing is this: on UEFA, I'm not concerned about because, and these things we've got to realise we're Man City fans. First and foremost, we follow our team. We have no influence over what happens with the UEFA investigation, none whatsoever, and we don't even know the half of it. We know nothing. We're just trying to, give our opinion on what we believe is going on. We're not experts in this area, so we don't know, and we know we're run by.
Andy, I don't even think UEFA or FIFA are fucking experts in this area.
No. I think no. I'll come back to that and say no. Some of the people that are on the adjudicatory panel and things like that are financial experts in law, in legal, company law and things like that. So they have got experts in this area. I think it will fall down to the Rui Pinto stuff is going to be very interesting because they're already finding further leaks, that they like to call it, instead of hacks. There are already other things now that are implicating UEFA officials. And that's why I think there's been this massive stall at the moment. And we've not really heard anything because these people who have been at UEFA, not just now, but have been in the past, are probably shitting themselves thinking, oh my God. I mean, this guy, if he is who he is, says he is, and he could be some stooge, and he's taking the fall for somebody else.
Stooge! Sorry, bad cough.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. There's leaks coming out, apparently, of UEFA corrupt officials. Now, you have the likes of Infantino, and that probably goes to bed every night sweating, thinking, shit, has he accessed my email account? And has he done this? And has he done that? So I think this is going to run and run and run. I don't think this is anywhere near over. I think this is going to go on until either we do with City, because as we know, Manchester City Manchester City are very, very conscious of their appearance, their public perception, or the public's perception of them, because of obviously the Abu Dhabi references and things like that. Now, it could be the fact that City turn around and speak in quiet like they did last time and say, look, we'll come to an agreement, we'll pay 20 million quid fine, blah, 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 and we move on. But I'm sure this time around, if there's no agreement like that, City are going to push and be at the forefront to actually destroy UEFA if they possibly can. But they'll only be able to do that if they haven't done something wrong. And if they've done something wrong, then we deserve whatever we get, in my opinion.
I'll agree with that. If we've done something wrong, we do deserve punishment. I don't think we have.
Yeah.
Okay, so to completely move on, I'm done with FFP now because it bores me to fucking tears. In reality, fellas, my reality is that I like going watching Manchester City play football. And the only problem that I've had since 2008 is that there's all this fucking bollocks to talk about that isn't football. So we'll move on.
Exactly.
So can I ask you, why are human rights abuses levelled at City fans? And is there really a world of difference between what happens on the pitch and what our owners are alleged to be part of? Now, considering, just to give you something outside of this, there's a World Cup that's going to happen in Qatar in 2022, where literally, I mean, clip my fingers and the guy's died there because he's trying to build a bit of concrete. So there are people like dropping dead every 2 seconds in Qatar building a stadium because they're all migrant workers that are being underpaid and they've got no unions and they're not being looked after. They'll even get a bottle of water a day and they're probably sleeping in the desert or something like that. So all those people are dying. That's nothing to do with Manchester City. I'm sure somebody will try and link Raheem Sterling to doing it. But why is it okay? Why is it okay for other fans? Because other fans, let's be honest, other fans can't in reality criticise the way that we spend money. They can't. Other fans of other clubs in other ways can't really criticise what we do on the pitch because we don't dive, We're not Mo Salah. We're not Ashley Young. We've not got a 10-meter diving board at the end of the north stand or the south stand. You can't criticise the way our manager conducts himself. I mean, apparently China can, because apparently we're a bunch of scumbags and we hate China. In fact, we're doing a Southeast Asian tour at the minute about how much, Manchester City versus Southeast Asia. We're showing so much disrespect to their clubs by beating them 6-1 in friendly matches. We're going to go to Japan and fucking get the coup de grace in a day or two. And take the piss out of one of their football teams and make more enemies. And Raheem Sterling is probably like smuggling drugs over the border, or he's probably shot some prostitutes, or he's buried a few bodies. He's probably fathered a few children over there, according to the Daily Mirror on the Daily Mail. Anyway, those things have probably happened allegedly. So why is it all right for other clubs' fans to say just so much bullshit about our football club? I mean, let's put it this way, right? Manchester City go on a pre-season tour to a different country. In reality, is our pre-season tour actually going to the Middle East and committing human rights violations, or pushing gay people off buildings, or banning women from driving? Is Vincent Kompany is he a proponent of that? Does he do like YouTube adverts for the Saudi royal family by saying don't let women drive and stuff like that? Or is it all just a bunch of bollocks and they should get over themselves, all these fans of other clubs? I'm going to come to Martin on this one first. I've just spoke a lot there, but try and keep up.
Well, exactly what you said is a load of fucking bollocks. It really is. They have nothing to do with each other. And again, it's another label to throw at the fans and the club. That's all it is. It all comes back to the same thing you said at the beginning of why we're hated. So what they do is, what fans are very good at, they want to come up with new ideas and new ways to throw little shitty digs at us all the time. That's all it is. It's nothing to do with the football. Because they cannot have a go at us on the pitch. They can't have a go at us about the plays. They can't attack us to do with football. They can't do it. So they come up with just brand new ways, whether it's the media, people on the anything you want.
Let's not forget, by the way, I mean, like, the big elephant in the room is racism. Let's not forget that UEFA fined us a couple of years ago. They fined us more money for being 13 seconds late to a second half of a game than the other team got fined for throwing bananas at our black players.
Doesn't that come back to which game did we play away? Was it CSK Moscow?
CSK Moscow,
yeah, they got a ban. And for some weird reason, it was a game played behind closed doors. And wasn't there like a couple of thousand people in there all claiming to be club officials and reporters and everything else?
Well, I think they played that game behind closed doors because it makes City fans feel at home, right? All those empty seats, no?
Well, apparently, yeah. We've no fans, we've no nothing. So what's the point in us going over there? But it's like I said, it's another stick to hit us with. That's all it is. Because they can't do anything to us on the pitch. They can't touch us. So it's another thing to beat us with, and it's a load of fucking bollocks, pure and simple.
What about you, Karl? What do you think? I mean, are we a bunch of mad racists, City fans?
No, absolutely not. Far from it. I mean, here's the question I would ask is, so they level all this human rights abuse stuff against City because of the owners, right? What about Chelsea and where the owners from?
Oh, no, they didn't invade the Crimea to put a Gazprom pipeline in that is the sponsor of the Champions League. No, that didn't happen.
Well, what about the racist issues in the US with when FSG's here or the Glazers? So it's all a lot of bullshit, man. Again,
the Glazers aren't racist. Are you crazy? The Glazers aren't part of Manchester City.
Yeah, I mean, so racist. There's no racism in America as well, right? So I mean, look.
Oh, definitely not. I've never heard of it.
The bottom line is they cannot find anything else to talk about, so they just find some flimsy, stupid item. Now, don't get me wrong. There are issues everywhere, right? There are issues everywhere. Let's not bring that into football. Play the game. You can't play the game, win the game on the field. Shut the fuck up, man. Bottom line. But play on the field, you lose, walk away. Great. Period.
I mean, to widen the issue just from racism for a second. Now, Manchester United, as far as I'm aware, for many, 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 many years, did not have a women's football team or a ladies' football team. Now, Manchester City, for the longest time, have had a ladies' football team, which is as big a part, as the male football team at City. They shared the stage, they shared the trophy presentation with the men's team, and all the rest of it. Now, is that really something that you'd expect from our apparently misogynistic, repressed, slave-owning owners, or is that just complete bollocks?
again, it's all bollocks. Again, I mean, I'm going down to the game for the women in North Carolina next month. I'm taking my daughter there to go watch it, but it's all bollocks. I mean, it's just absolute nonsense. I don't pay 2 cents, man. Seriously, we see through all this crap that they talk about. Bottom line, the best way to answer them back is to win, and win. That's it. That's the only way to get back at these people. But yeah, I don't pay 2 cents, man. Seriously.
So Andy, why are you a mad racist City fan?
Why am I a mad racist City fan?
Well, that's what people keep saying about us all. So
Come on, Andy, be truthful now.
I don't think I'm a racist City fan. I'm just a City fan. With regards to, I know what you're sort of airing at, but I think if you go back to, I think the first things that came out about racism, excuse me, and links with City fans and racism, when it came about and the Abu Dhabi regime was really sort of came to light with the Matthew Hedges case. And if you remember rightly, there was the British guy locked up in Abu Dhabi, and there was all that furore that came out and blah, 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 blah. And it was at that time that the media's approach to mentioning, or certain journalists' approach to linking a case, which we've got to remember, Matthew Hedges isn't a Manchester City fan, all right? It just so happens that our owner is part of the ruling family of Abu Dhabi. But Matthew Hedges wasn't a City fan, but they could not help themselves in using the name Manchester City in almost every article because of the association with Sheikh Mansour. Now, I interviewed Jonathan Northcroft outside the Etihad, and we'd already had, just prior to that, a few days earlier, prior to the Bournemouth game, we'd already had Matthew Said. As you know, Matthew Said from BBC Radio 5 Live, BBC, etc. journalist, he called City fans sewer rats for not speaking out against human rights abuses and the locking up of Matthew Hedges. And at the end of the day, we are City fans. We're football fans. We're not journalists. We're not politicians. We're not part of Amnesty International. We're not part of, Human Rights Watch. And we just love our club, top and bottom. End of story. Now, do we all have our own opinions on human rights issues in various countries? Yeah. Has the UK got issues on human rights abuses? Yeah, it has. So, I'm not going to go down that route of just, talking all about human rights. But what we do forget with regards to all of this is we forget about the investment in Manchester United by the Saudi government, and Saudi companies. We also forget the fact that over 6,000 British companies or companies worldwide invest in Abu Dhabi as a country, as a state, which is the largest sort of state, let's say, investment on earth into there. So over 6,000 companies worldwide. We forget that our own British military, send armaments, bombs, you name it, aircraft to Saudi Arabia. The Typhoon,
BAE systems, cough.
BAE, yeah, BAE, yeah, BAE.
Sorry.
BAE build the Eurofighter, and we sell them to Saudi Arabia. So we forget about there's all this massive investment by British companies in the UAE, in the Middle East, blah, 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 and backed campaigns against Libya and removing Colonel Gaddafi and all those type of things. So I just find it really strange when journalists who are predominantly the ones who are talking about Manchester City, I find it really weird that some of the sports journalists, some of them are football correspondents, some of them are sports journalists and cover various sports. Now, if they were to write an article that was solely human rights based, talking about Abu Dhabi, talking about the UAE, and talking about Yemen and things like that, involvement in that campaign, nobody would read it. Let's be honest.
I was going to say, Andy, put it this way, mate. If Kilroy Silk and Tricia and Jeremy Kyle and Jerry Springer had normal people on as guests, how popular would their shows be?
Well, exactly. Nobody. If and I'll use, here's one, because this is one that's come out on social media a lot. Miguel Delaney. We know Miguel Delaney talks a lot about football, but he talks a lot about sport as well. Not just that. Now, have you ever read an article by Miguel Delaney in The Guardian or any other journalistic publication that is solely based talking about human rights abuses in the UAE or any other country? Probably not. I haven't read one. So how can he get people involved in his articles? Well, if he writes about Manchester City, all he's going to get is abuse. But if he starts the article off and uses references to human rights abuses, now he links two things. And he knows there's going to be a reaction. Duncan Castles does something very similar. Nick McGee is a human rights activist and journalist and writes about it and things like that. And I've no doubt he has absolutely amazing intentions. But they're all jumping on this massive bandwagon and only using. Now, I think this is the to it for my reading. And I honestly, I'll be honest, I try and steer clear of it because it just gets into this, you don't get anywhere with it. You don't get anywhere with them. And all you do is just waste your own time arguing back and forth with them. Nobody wins out of it. They don't, and we don't. So I don't get involved in it anymore. I've learned my lesson from that. But when you talk about these journalists who, whether they are human rights activists or work for certain things, governments and whatever else.
Are we including Rob Harris in this?
Well, I mean, I'm not going down the Nick Harris, Sporting Angel and Rob Harris. And I mean, I could name 10 major journalists. Nick Harris, I certainly wouldn't give him the shit off my shoe after what he did to me and tried to claim that I did on social media, which was total lies. And I reported him to IPSO over that. Which really surprised me because he's supposed to be a respected journalist. My arse. So when you've got these journalists, they can't write about one thing without including Manchester City, because then they know they can hit one side of the media intrigue. But if they put in Manchester City with it as well, or if they put in Manchester City solely, but then make a couple of references to human rights, they know they're going to get a reaction. They know now that they're going to get a reaction and a bite back by Manchester City fans, because as we know in this age of social media and everything is now going online and less papers and hard copy papers. Everything
Fuck is a newspaper.
Well, exactly. So they know they have to now. Their job revolves around clicks. It revolves around content. It revolves how many likes, how many tweets, how many retweets. All of this, they know that. So if they can put human rights and Manchester City together, it's going to create double the views. That's my opinion on why they solely do it. But I don't mind. Don't get me wrong. If somebody wants to write about human rights issues, that's fair enough. And I'm sure there are many.
It's not that they write about human rights issues on it. It's that they can't fucking help but mention Manchester City football.
No,
or Raheem Sterling, or fucking Pep Guardiola in the same bastard fucking paragraph of the article.
That is what I'm saying. If they want to write about human rights issues in the UAE, I'm all for reading it, absolutely, and I might have an opinion, and I might even more than likely agree with them. I'm not saying that, but when they try and put the two of them together, and this is what I said to Jonathan Northcroft when I had a conversation with him. I read an article on a match report. This is a match report that went out a few hours after the Man City match by Ian Herbert of the Mail. And I'm sure it was Ian Herbert. And in there was about, 10 paragraphs. And I'd say 5 of them mentioned things like Abu Dhabi regime, mentioned things like human rights. And this is supposed to be a match report on City just beating whoever 3-4-0. And I said to him, it's things like that, Jonathan, that piss Man City fans off, because we log on to that and we want to see what Ian Herbert, who's at the game, has said about the match, and he gives his We want to see maybe his player ratings or what he thought about that goal. But no, there's a little intro, which is about the game. And then suddenly terminology is used like Abu Dhabi regime. Terminology is used with human. And I said to him, what has any of that got to do with reading an actual factual report about the match that's just taken place? Nothing. I said, so why did he do it? And obviously the conversation turned to, why do you think? Why do you think?
For the same reason Jerry Springer has fucking trailer trash as guests.
Exactly. Of course it's because without but my last couple of points, because then I've got to go, because I've got to do a live vlog. So before I go to bed, because I'm not really early. My last couple of points on this is with the human rights stuff is, what annoys, and I really wouldn't mind if they want to include, and these Miguel Delaney and Nick Harris and Rob Harris and whoever, if they want to do this and they want to say it's about clicks and they want it to be about human rights, raising awareness and things like that, two things. One, I would like to see their articles they write solely on human rights issues in the region. That I don't see. And two, I'd like to see some football journalists like Delaney and Harris and everyone else write about the Saudi government and their links to Man United and, investment in British government with arms and selling aircraft to those and have some sort of parity between what they write about City and, if they want to include human rights issues, and what they write about football and include the likes of United and Chelsea and others. Why is it solely only about Manchester City these journalists write about? That is what I don't get. And I think that's what annoys City fans more than anything, because I think all of us would agree that if there are human rights issues in any country, we as sort of like 21st century men, women, children, teenagers, whatever, would say, for us, in my opinion, because I'm a Westerner, I would hope that would improve, or these things would be eliminated, and LGBT rights would be fine, or whatever else you want to do it. But it's the fact of they keep linking everything to Manchester City, and they don't do it. They don't do it with any other club. And the only last thing is, Rob, I will not feel guilty for supporting the club I've supported for 49 years because they want to make it about a UAE state that is government owned and a football club that is owned by government. And I am not going to apologise for what I've seen in my lifetime, which is a load of crap football. We've been thankful to get the investment from Sheikh Mansour. He's not just come in and gone, well, we're a Galactico, here's a billion, just go and buy a load of players. He's come in, he's regenerated the area. We know why. We know why. We're not stupid. Most fans are not stupid. We know it's about the image of Abu Dhabi and things like that. But we don't care, because what he's done is invested in a region. He's made a really poor area of Manchester now been regenerated. He's invested separately into Manchester City Council and supporting their projects. He's built a fantastic stadium, a world-class academy and a world-class team. And I, for one, am not going to apologise to any journalist on this planet for me being a Manchester City fan and just supporting my club.
Me either. The only reason why these newspapers are doing what they're doing is because they're on the bones of their ass as it is, and the only people left reading their rags are the very people that hate us in the first place. So
one last thing. One last thing.
No, before you go, mate.
Just before I go. Listen, if you've not read it, I read it this morning and I forgot about it, and just while I'm talking then, I just brought it up on my phone. Press Switch Blue, Colin Savage retweeted somebody's a journalist. It's like a freelancer, and I know he has wrote something. He says in this article, I implore everybody who's listening to this particular podcast, please go and follow. His name is Ali. It's at Ali Fogg. And he's wrote an article, and I'll retweet it on mine, which is at Aviation Blue.
And we'll put it on YouTube as well afterwards.
And It's an absolutely fantastic read. If you're a City fan, this guy moved from Scotland to Rusholme to Moss Side in 1992, I think it was. Just fell in love with Man City. Has been a City fan ever since, and this article is absolutely amazing, and actually covers some of the things we've just been talking about as well. And I think it's just a fantastic read. So please, if you've not read it, it's Ali, ALLY FOGG at Ali Fogg. Go over and have a look at it. It's called Manchester City, Morality and Me. It's a wonderful, wonderful read.
Yeah, I saw that this morning. I was about to read it.
Saw it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, before you go, Andy, I've just got to ask you one last question. I know you've got to go, but this is one last question, and then you can say your goodbyes, pal. So the last question is, now that we've covered FFP, I think we've written that into the ground. I think we've covered everything about human rights abuses and all the rest of it, and racism. I think we've done a fantastic job, but so far we've been pretty pro club. So how about we take the other roll the other sleeve up now?
All right.
Everyone's read, I'm sure, and everyone's heard something about the new away ticket allocation systems and how the club deals with things like boxes and the 93-20 sections and the posh seat brigade and all the fucking box wankers and all the rest of those people. Okay, so what's all the fuss about, man? And is there a massive, massive disconnect now? Because let's stop brown nosing City for a second. Let's talk as real fans. Is there a massive, massive disconnect now between the club and the fans? From a club point of view, they can play in front of a fucking empty stadium and it won't make a fucking bit of difference. But it's still, in some regards, be it for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, it's still our club. Now, I know that that's fucking ridiculous because at the end of the day, Manchester City could say we're a franchise now and we're moving to fucking London and building a new stadium. Bye. We don't give a fuck. And they could do that. Don't think they will. But is there a massive disconnect now, given the fact that they've just changed, again, the goalpost for away tickets? Andy, I need to come to you first because I know you've got to go, mate.
Okay. Right. Very briefly on this. I haven't followed this as much because all the debate started when I came away. I was out here in Myanmar, but I have tried to follow as much as I possibly can with the debates of what's going on. Now, do I think it's a massive thing? I think people on Twitter in particular have possibly made it a really big thing. Looking from the outside in, is it a massive thing? I don't know. I really don't know. I think it'll be a suck it and see. I know the arguments of people turning around saying, well, I go with my dad, and if I was selected as being one of the ones that have to go to the away ground and I have to go there to collect my ticket, because not everybody has to do that, then my dad's going to be really pissed off, and he likes to be in town having a beer before we go to the game. And people are then replying back going, well, just go a little bit earlier, get your ticket, go back to town. Well, I don't really want to do that. Well, yeah, sometimes we all don't want to do things. But if you're just one of the unfortunate ones in the process that has to be doing that, it could be once or twice a season. It could be 3 or 4. I don't know. Is it the right solution? I'm still not sure. It's one of those that I think, like I said, I think City fans are going to have to suck it and see how it goes. I think we'll know fairly soon once the season starts. I think a few months into the season, the feedback will be all over social media. As to this was a nightmare because when I got to Crystal Palace away, let's say, there were like hundreds and hundreds of people queuing up, and the queue for my ticket was the same as Palace fans queuing for had to collect paper tickets. And I think that's where a problem might exist. If you've got 1 or 2 booths at an away ground that you go and turn up, and that is solely for these select few. I can't remember what it is. Is it 5% of? I can't remember. I honestly can't remember what the whole process is.
Don't forget, I go to every away game, so you will find out sooner or later how fucking annoyed at the system I will be. and you will hear from me.
This is the thing. I mean, I don't know. I think is it? I can't remember. I'll be honest, because I haven't read much about it. I'll be perfectly blunt this week. But I think there's going to be a selection of away fans that are going to be chosen to collect their tickets at away grounds, but the rest will still continue. Is that right?
Yeah, try and make me do it somewhere like Old Trafford. Are you going to give me an individual police escort? You know what I mean?
Well,
try and make me do it somewhere like Chelsea. Yeah. Tell you what, let's go and play fucking Millwall and try and make me go to that ground, even though I've got a lifetime.
Well, certainly now Liverpool and things like that. So this is creating a potential problem, because I think if it was simple enough where there were two booths and it was only, I don't know, a couple of hundred City fans had to go and get their whatever. You'd have to suspect that if, like you said, if you were at Old Trafford or you were at Liverpool or Millwall or let's say Leeds come into it or whoever, and you are queuing up and there's 200 City fans all queuing up in this line, or 50 because they come at various points, then you're a target. You are a target for any nutter or few nutters that want to go, here we go. All they're going to do is, if people want violence and they want to start something, as we know, it still happens every game, but it's all off-site and things like that. If somebody wanted to do that, all they do is just wait there and wait for the largest crowd of City fans that are waiting up at the ticket office to queue up for their away tickets, because they're the ones that's been selected. And there you've got a perfect target. So the policing of that event
I guarantee you, at some specific grounds around the country, not every ground, because there's quite a lot of grounds where I can go and mingle in with the home fans and have a drink in the pub with the home fans and all the rest of it. There are some specific away grounds where the police are going to have a fucking headache and tell Manchester City Football Club to go fuck themselves about doing this scheme. I guarantee it. The police are going to say no. Right.
I don't doubt it for a second. And my only point on that is we're talking about, because that's the one. I mean, it's inconvenience. That's one thing. Will it work? Will it not work? I don't know, because we're talking about what might happen in the future. I don't know, but I'm sure. My worry is that what you're going to do is you're going to create a potential environment that somebody could be targeted. A group could be targeted. Now you can imagine, let's take Old Trafford. Let's take Old Trafford, for example. You mentioned Old Trafford. Let's imagine that a select number of away fan season ticket holders who have been given access because they've got enough points for tickets have been told they've got to go and queue up at Old Trafford on an away day match. Now, what happens if 20, 30 guys, hardcore United fans, storm that line of people, and 95% of the people in there are not interested in violence or anything, they just want to go and watch the match, and end up getting a right kicking because the police are not there managing the situation effectively. Now, I would hope that those box offices are being manned on away days, knowing that City fans are going to turn up here to collect tickets and there's plenty of police presence. But what if it's not, and a load of City fans who are middle-aged go to the games, don't want any violence, don't want any trouble, just have to now collect their ticket. Worst case
scenario is that the police hand over the responsibility for stewarding it to fucking Showsec, and they are the biggest abortion on it. Showsec couldn't even fucking sort out a piss up in a brewery.
So now we're talking about realms of areas where you're talking about who is responsible and liable for this process. Now, I know City Matters Group, because I know Colin Savage, who sits on the City Matters Group, and I've listened to Ian Cheeseman's vlog talking about this very thing earlier in the week with the guy who does the 18 to 25-year-old section and things like that. So I'm not sure it's I'll be honest with you, Rob. You obviously go to every away game. I don't. But I'm not sure what the answer is. And I did read a timeline of Press Switch Blue. Colin Savage was getting pretty much savaged by City fans. And I thought some of the comments that he was getting savaged by were really unfair. And I just think we're very reactionary and didn't really take into account that. I think that to do something, whether it's the right thing or wrong thing, who knows? I think everyone realises that some supporter clubs are giving out tickets left, right and centre, and some of the real fans are not always getting the opportunity able to afford to go to every away game. But like I said, I don't know much more on it, but it does concern me, and I think in the next few months when the season starts, we'll just wait and see. It might work.
Just to stir the pot. Just to stir the pot. The only places at Manchester City that have experienced racism have been with certain supporters clubs. I'm not going to name them because I don't want to get drawn out war.
No.
But on coaches to away games, I've heard a lot of racism, which baffles me. How apparently we have racist fans, given our owners, given our players, given the multinational reach of Manchester City now. So that baffles me. And I don't like supporters clubs in the first place. I just don't. I've got my own supporters club. But my own supporters club is a little joke, It's the Glauber Bertie official Manchester City supporters club. It's a take the piss supporters club. I don't like supporters clubs. I think there's too many grandfather rights being thrown about. I think there's too many fucking backdoors. I think there's too many fucking mates rates. I think there's too much bullshit that goes on in them. And I think there needs to be a massive overhaul of supporters clubs in the first place. With regards to away tickets, the whole fucking system is a fucking joke, and it was caused by the club in the first place when they started adding things like the platinum schemes and the pay your way to more point schemes and all the fucking
the extra £50 so that you can accumulate more points and and accelerate this. Which I'll be honest with you, I don't. Does it really matter? Because the way it's going to happen now is that there's not going to. That £50 is not going to accelerate their points any further. So I'm not sure whether it's a redundant thing.
Let me tell you something, that you should be already aware of. Manchester City Football Club is quite possibly the richest football club in the entire world. The people of Manchester are still the people of Manchester. Still working class people on the whole.
Absolutely.
The fan base is still working class on the whole. £5 difference a season can sometimes make the difference, mate. And even though it's not a factor anymore, it was still fucking unnecessary bullshit that was put on the fans. Okay, so that's my little end of it. In a minute, I'm going to come to Karl and Martin. Karl, I'm not going to specifically ask you about away tickets, but I'm going to ask you about access to the club in general with regards to tickets. Right now, though, we're going to say see you later to Andy, and thank you very much for putting up with us for an hour and 20 minutes now. That's longer than you committed to, but thank you very much anyway, pal.
You're welcome. Well, listen, guys, Martin, Karl, enjoy the rest of the vlog. I've got to go because I'm up in about 6 hours to catch my flight back to Manchester. But Rob, listen, you're doing a brilliant job on the podcast. I really enjoy it. Thanks for having me back on.
On your live vlog, mate.
Cheers,
don't forget to tell the people about how fucking good this podcast is so far. Right, so I'm going to come to Karl first because Martin, I'm guessing, because you're pretty similar to me in age and in sort of access to Man City, that you're going to have a lot to say about this. But I'm going to come to Karl first because Karl, what I know from you, pal, is you might not necessarily have any of this drama with regards to away tickets. I don't even know whether you've ever been to an away game at City. But anyway, when it comes to buying tickets, or like when you're because you say that you fly over once or twice a year on your own pocket and you come and watch City. What's it like getting tickets for City? Is it relatively easy? I mean, do you have to do particular hoops you have to jump through, or what's it like, mate?
So it's not easy. What I normally try to do is when the schedule comes out, I go online and try to buy tickets as quickly as possible. If you don't buy quickly, they're gone, and then you're left with whatever games that are left. So it's not easy. I'm also one of the citizens that buy the club card, and that gives you points, and you can get some access to certain games. That's how I attend games. Most of the games I attend are Champions League games. So what I try to do is I come like for the Saturday game or Sunday game, and I stay till Tuesday or Wednesday, so I can cover 2 or 3 games if I can that week. So I think the last time I was there for the Spurs Championship. I was also there for the Schalke game. Then the year before, I went to the Huddersfield FA Cup. So I try to spread like a week or 3 or 4 games there. Most of my access is through the online sales.
And what's that like as an international fan? I've never actually tried buying tickets off City website. I just thought, obviously, like beyond what I do anyway, which is getting my away tickets and my season ticket and all the rest of it.
It's quite efficient. So you just go online. I have the whole City account. You go online. You look for the game that you want. If it's available, you buy it. You choose your seat, and then they send you the tickets either by mail or you can pick it up at the stadium.
Okay. So let's say that you totally changed your life and decided to move to Moss Side, Manchester, or Burnage, or somewhere like that, and you wanted to get on the fucking City gravy train as a season ticket holder. How would you feel? Put yourself into our shoes a second. How would you feel about all that we've just talked about with regards to getting away tickets, being treated as, given the fact that we're working class Mancunians and having to pay X for Manchester City season tickets and Y for Champions League games and away tickets are going crazy and travel and all the rest of it.
I mean, it's difficult. There's no doubt it is difficult, especially if you have family, you want to take your kids along, then it becomes like, a whole month's wages. It's tough. But at the same time, too, given where all the clubs are going now with money and away tickets and revenue, they're looking for every way to get revenue, every single way. And think about the new app, right, that's running on Apple TV or Amazon Fire. I think the cost is $199 a month, right? Oh, everybody's doing that. I went to the game, Real Madrid game here in DC against Arsenal this week, just because I'm a Premier League fan as well. I mean, dude, they're charging $50 for parking, right? Cheapest seats there were $120. Cheapest seats for a game, and about 60,000 fill the stadium. So it's this new model, man, of making revenue and trying to balance the books. You have millionaire players, making £200,000 a week. You got to find the revenue somehow to keep it sustainable. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I lived in New England for quite a while.
Yeah.
And I was at Gillette Stadium in 2009 when AC Milan played Inter Milan. And I think Gillette Stadium was around 80,000 capacity at the time. And it was absolutely rammed with people. But as you say, the tickets were like $100 each. Plus you've got a park and all the rest of it. So someone was making a fortune that day, definitely.
Yeah. But the club has to have balance, right? Between the local fans, make sure that the local fans are happy, and also supporting its international expansion. They got to find that balance because it's critical. You got to keep the local fans happy, man. If not, what's the whole point?
Well, that's the other thing I'm saying as well. I mean, I totally agree with you. As a local fan, you've got to keep the local fans happy, but do they? Do they really have to keep the local fans happy?
They have to. Absolutely. 100%.
Because United seems to have this fucking amazing balance where they get fucking 75,000 at United.
I tell you what happens.
30,000 of them come from fucking overseas every week.
Anytime
so do they really need to keep the local fans happy?
Anytime I watch a game on TV and I hear the fans, especially the away fans, sing, I can hear 3,000 miles away, man. Gives me goosebumps. And I wish I was there. I swear. Every single game, I wish I could come. I'm not a millionaire. I don't have that kind of money, but I wish I could be there. So they got to figure out a way to keep the local fans happy because they're the lifeblood. They keep the club.
Well, the last two seasons, those away fans, especially City away fans, have become 800 fans quieter because it's all full of fucking Tunnel Club corporates. 800 of our 3,000 allocation is now for the last 2-3 seasons become Tunnel Club corporates. Yeah, and I guarantee you, they do not fucking sing on away days. They don't even know the fucking rules of football on away days.
The club has to find balance or else they're going to lose it. I'm telling you. They got to find a balance, and it has to be. I mean, do they engage you guys on sessions, talk about issues with the club?
Well, no. That's the point, though. I mean, I'm the engaged supporters clubs and the engaged fan forums and all the rest of that bollocks. But I'm just a City fan. I keep trying to stress week after week after week when I do podcasts. I'm just a City fan.
Yeah.
I go to watch Manchester City Football Club. I don't really care about the politics of football, even though I do talk about it. So I'm a bit of a hypocrite here, but. It should just be fucking easy. If I wanted to go and buy a dishwasher, I go to Curry's PC World, or other brands are available, and buy a fucking dishwasher. I don't have to go to a fucking committee before I do it, do I? So if I wanted to access football, I should just be able to buy a football ticket. Before I got a season ticket at Main Road, I just used to pay in on the gate or jump over the fucking fence like every other cunt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
football's become infinitely complicated. It's supposed to be the sport of the people, but it's fucking. You need a PhD now to get a season ticket to work out how to use the fucking website.
I completely understand you, but I mean, I think the club just has to figure out a way to keep that balance. I mean, on my site today, I got this got this survey from the club around the third kit. I hate the third kit. I swear.
I've never been surveyed on a fucking kit, and trust me, I've got some fucking opinions on them shit fucking.
Yeah, I got a survey on the kit, so I was able to answer and provide some feedback on the kit. I mean, based on the last game against, I guess, was it Wolves So the engagement channels that we use online to provide opinions on the club. Maybe that's something then we figured out how to get to the local team, local fans.
Well, like you just said, you got surveyed on the kit, and you live 3,500 miles away, mate. I live fucking 2 miles from the Jihad, and I've not been fucking surveyed. Anyway, so Martin, I can hear you fucking chomping, mate. Go.
Well, just to go on the survey, I actually live 10 minutes away from the Etihad. I've had no survey, no email, no nothing. I've had a season ticket nearly 30 years. I've had no survey. I had no survey over anything. It took 2 weeks to get an email just to say that my season ticket had renewed. So
I haven't had the email yet, but I have had a thing saying that it's in the post.
Yeah,
so
it's a load of absolute bollocks. The one thing I said when we got took over, I said to my father, I said to all my family, I said, I do not want to become Man United. And Rob, you'll know this, and I don't mean any disrespect, Karl, in this. You live local, you know what I mean by that. United were corporate. We were the family club, and I appreciate things change. But, and I, my dad, for example, my dad.
Knowledge as well. Things do change, yes, but things have to change as well. And they do have
of course
to change.
They do.
But there's ways and means. And
I'm going to, well, this is my dad, 70 odd years old, and he had a season ticket in the main stand at Main Road. I was over in the kid packs, and he was bang on the halfway line. So when we moved over to the Etihad at the time, it was the City of Manchester Stadium. We got shown round as it was building up, and you could choose your seat, and you could sit in your seat, and it would, as they worded it, like for like seat.
Yeah, same for us, mate. I was in the north stand, so they shown us the south stand.
Yeah.
Basically. So I ended
they
up
turn round, and people know this, and no mention of Tunnel Club at this point. 2 years ago, a year ago, whenever it was, my dad got a phone call to say he had to move because they were building the Tunnel Club.
Yeah.
And they said if you didn't want to move, you had to join the Tunnel Club, which I appreciate. Yes, every team needs corporate. But I always thought that was level 2. They then brought it down to level 1.
Well, do you remember corporate at Main Road, mate? It was a bunch of box wankers that you never had to see.
It was a bunch of boxes at the back of the old Platt Lane.
Yeah, and you never had to see it because it was there, but it wasn't in your fucking face. My biggest problem with the Tunnel Club is it's fucking front and centre. And when it's fucking half empty, and when they don't turn up for the fucking first 10, 15 minutes of the second half, it really fucking grates me.
Rob,
grates me even more than the fucking North Stand fucking wankers that barely turn up.
The worst thing they ever came up with, do you remember Main Road? In the family stand was a little crappy corner in between the main stand and the Platt Lane, and they put a nice little scoreboard in at the end of going towards the late 90s to make it all family friendly and everything else. Gary Cook come along, and I appreciate Gary Cook did a lot, but Gary Cook came along, brought fucking family stand in, and then the club decided that the only way you can have a season ticket in there is if you had someone under the age of 16 with you.
Yeah.
Now you look at that stand on a Wednesday night, that's why it's half fucking empty, because you've got to be under 16 with an adult to get in the place. That's why that no, I'm not being funny. No parents on a school night are going to have the kids out till you're not getting home till 11 some nights.
No,
they're not going to do that.
That's where they put the competition winners as well. And I've actually did some research into this. So there's about 2 or 3 rows in that north stand at the Etihad. And at kickoff, they're all there. And then about on the 60-minute mark, all those competition winners, because they've come from somewhere else in the world or from somewhere else in the country, they fuck off on the 60-minute mark. And the reason for that is because they've got to go and get a train home, or they've got to catch a plane home, or the rest of it. Yeah. I don't understand this. If you win a fucking competition in 2018, 19, 20, whatever, for Manchester City Football Club, why the fuck are they not just putting you in an hotel for the night? Is it really going to fucking bankrupt the club if you do that?
No.
Why is there no foresight?
It's a load of bollocks, and for some reason they're never going to change it. Now, going back to my dad, he's actually give up his season ticket now, and he's had to do it for the simple fact is he's got to move now because they said he could keep near enough to that area at the reduced price for 2 years. He's now had to move. They were going to move him nowhere near where he was unless he paid a fortune. So he's just thought bollocks to it. My brother had a season ticket in the North Stand. He gave that up when Gary Cook come up with this family stand bollocks idea. I mean, I'm in the Colin Bell, but I'm over near the corner, and I'd love to move, but I know the people around me. I'm quite happy there. I sing. Not everyone around me sing, but I do. But I'll tell you what, the worst thing, I am one of these idiots who does pay the £50 extra a season for Platinum. but I don't do the cup schemes, you know, the automatic ones, because
Yeah,
I can't always get to the night games, you know, due to, you know, someone going personal issues. So I can't always get to them. So I'd rather 99% of the time I pay for my ticket. And then half the time I move to the South Stand anyway with my daughter. Now I got my daughter, my partner, my son, Citizens membership. And this really pissed me right off. You know, and the idea with the Citizens was it put you automatically on a season ticket waiting list. Because they got rid of this paying £100 deposit. So I had my daughter, and she's 16 now. She's been begging for a season ticket for years. So I said, right, I'll get you one. Now, I got an email. I rang up City. I'm not exaggerating now, at least 12 times. And I said, when does this window open for season tickets? My daughter's a Citizen. What do I do? Spoke to 5 different people over the 12 times. Got 5 completely different stories. So I rang up, and then got an email at 9:58 a.m. on the day they went on sale. I rang up at 2 minutes past 10. They were sold out.
Yeah.
How the hell have they sold out in 2 minutes?
Backhanders, brown envelopes.
It's a load of bollocks. And that's the only reason I didn't join a supporters club. I tried to get to as many away games as I can. I can't always do it because, you know, I haven't got 21,000 loyalty points.
Yeah.
I haven't got 22,000 loyalty points. And that's only good. That's all. And the thing that really pissed me off, going back to the corporate, they're all there for the Old Trafford, the Anfield. They're all there for them games. But when it comes to Swansea and the FA Cup, now they're not bothered.
Oh, of
They're
course
not
they're not.
asked. I can get tickets for that. That goes on open sale. Crystal Palace away goes on open sale because they can't be asked. I've done that trek, 7 hours there, 7 hours back. Because if you've ever been to Palace,
I do it all the time.
it's an absolute arse end of a ground to get to.
Yeah.
It's a shit ground to get. It's a shit ground to get to, and once you're in the fucking ground, you can only see a fucking half of the pitch anyway.
You have a pole. It's a bit like Goodison.
These are the growing pains of success, right? How do you balance?
This is what I wanted to ask you, Carl. Right. So you are more familiar. I don't know what sports teams you follow or franchises you follow in America, but you're more familiar than we are with how Americans do things. Now, I had 5 years of experience on how Americans do things. I went and watched the Boston Bruins. I went and watched the Celtics. I went and watched the Patriots, and I went and watched the New England Revolution when I lived over there. I don't know what clubs you follow over there. You're welcome to say if you want. And if you go to any of those franchises or any of those sports games.
I mean, I'll be honest. I don't follow on many of the games over here. I mean, I follow the NFL. I go to some of the games, but Premier League is what I follow.
But is access to the club anywhere like what it is with City?
Everything is corporate over here. Every single thing is about money. Every seat, every drink, everything.
Is there a light at the end of the tunnel then? I mean, eventually we're going to get to a point where everything will just be fucking smooth as butter.
It will. I mean, it takes time. It takes time, and I know that the club are, you know, they're competent enough to figure this out and realize that, look, you know, we have to keep the local fans happy because that is the bedrock.
But that's the thing. That's the thing from mine and Martin's perspective. Do they have to keep the local fans happy, or will they just arrive at a point where they'll just fans regardless of fucking locality?
I've heard interviews where they've said they want to respect the past and keep the local happy and still grow to the future. They will. I would just
Tony Blair said Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, mate. Anyone can talk bollocks on an interview.
They're not keeping us happy, Carl. They're not keeping us happy. That's the big problem.
There has to be a way in which local fans can engage the club. There have to be forums or ways to do that. I mean, the online platform is what I use a lot over here to engage the club, which is maybe I get all the surveys, right? Because I engage them on the online platforms. I'm signed up to a lot of the notifications and all that kind of crap. So I'm engaged with that, and I get a lot of surveys from them. Maybe there has to be some way the local fans engage with the club.
Did you guys listen to the podcast that I did with the 2 young City fans, the guys that are both around 19, 20 years old? Did you listen to that podcast?
I didn't catch all of it. I'll be honest.
So basically, the gist of that podcast was that when I was their age, so, 15, 16, 17 years ago, when I was their age, when I went to City away games, which I fucking did, and I'm proud that I did, I wear it like a badge of honour, in Division 2 and Division 1 and all the rest of that shit.
Yeah.
I was welcomed with open arms by other City fans or the City fans that are now my age or older. Welcomed with open arms. You're one of us. You're fucking in with the gang now. You're fucking part of it. Their experience of Manchester City now going to away games and even home games to a certain extent with pricing, because I think it's fucking bollocks that whole thing changes when you're 16. I'm sorry, but until you're 25 years old, you don't get paid what a fucking adult gets paid. So why are you being charged adult season ticket prices? You know, so their experience of fucking watching City home and away is a fucking nightmare sometimes. Not only because of the way that the club treats them and the way that the club treats them with ticket sales and ticket pricing, but the way that their own fans, other City fans, treat them because they just don't fucking think that they belong to be there. You haven't earned it like we've earned it. You haven't gone through the fucking dark ages.
Rob,
so that,
how come with this new season ticket thing is, how come the 18 to 25, that was introduced, but the likes of me, 36, how did that help me in any way?
No, it didn't help me either. But I think that that's the club's way of trying to fucking redress the balance with what I'm saying, which is only going to fucking separate the City fans even further. There's going to be a bigger divide now. There's going to be more resentment to the fucking 18 to 25-year-olds.
Well, I think the club has to figure it out, and this is part of the growing pains with any organization that's growing, in leaps and bounds. This shit happens. So, look, as long as you guys love the club and you're there, they'll figure it out. But you have to be vocal. I think podcasts like this and other forums would help to alleviate that, man. Seriously. But
I've actually emailed the club, and the only thing I get back is a generic email. That's all I get back. Thank you for your voice or your opinion. Your feedback will be sent to wherever. I rang the club, spoke to supporter services, and even supporter services. There was when we played Watford in the FA Cup final.
Yeah.
When the extra, was it 2,500 tickets were released?
Yeah.
I think the week before. Watford had theirs on sale for nearly 2 weeks. The FA had released theirs out. The FA had actually given the tickets to City and Watford weeks before that, or whenever it was. But Watford had already sent theirs out and sold them or sent them back or whatever they did. Ours got released. I rang up City and said, what's going on? Because what was really funny about that Watford was, for some reason, all the expensive tickets went first, which was actually very surprising. All the expensive tickets went first. Normally, when City have been going to Wembley, as much as we have been going, the cheaper seats up in level 4 and 5 go. But all the dear ones were taken at the beginning, and all the cheap ones were left. So you had to be up in the gods, of course. Now, I rang up City, spoke to supporter services, and the basic answer was, I got off them. This is speaking to supporter services. Well, I'll pass on your feedback. Thanks for that. That was it. There was nothing done. They had no explanation. Nothing could be said. So I appreciate, yes, we're trying to be vocal, but they're not willing to speak to us back unless you're in a supporters club.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think part of the issue with that is, though, the fact that supporters clubs are supposed to be the sounding board for what the general Man City fan thinks and feels, right? So you as an individual trying to fight your own corner and fight your own case, you're not going to have a bigger voice, no matter how much importance you place upon your own voice. And trust me, your voice is important because you're a City fan. It's never going to compare to that of 10, 20, 30, 40, 52, 500 people, It's never going to compete. And I don't know why City did what they did with the FA Cup final. I did think it was a bit strange myself, but I got my tickets on, I think, the second day, and my ticket was expensive. Everyone's ticket was fucking expensive. I think they never put into consideration. I mean, why has the club never fought our corner for things like FA Cup semi-finals? I mean, what happened to the days of semi-finals for FA Cups being played at like an Aston Villa or an Old Trafford or, God forbid, even an Anfield or somewhere like that? I remember back to 2011 when we played United in the semi-final and Stoke in the final. Technically there, you had City, United and Stoke, who were all northern teams, 2 of them northwest teams, 1 of them slightly further south, playing a 5 o'clock fucking Wembley FA Cup semi-final and final on a Sunday.
Well,
where's the fucking logic?
When it Bolton against Stoke in the semis, have I got that wrong?
Yeah, Bolton against Stoke in the semis, and then
Yes,
again
so
2
you had
years
all-
later,
you had-
City versus
four.
Wigan in the final. You
Yeah,
know, where's
you
the
had all
fucking logic?
four. It was you had four northwest teams basically, and we're all being sent down to Wembley because Wembley, the FA have put an absolute noose round the neck.
But you've
with
got to remember
Wembley
though,
Stadium.
that particular issue is outside of the club's control. But what I'm trying to emphasise is the fact that it's a wider issue. It's not just City specific.
No,
But there's a lot of questionable things, and I think that's the price we have to pay for where football is at now, and that's what I'm trying to say. Really, is the fact that you can be born a stone's throw from Main Road or the Etihad, or you can be born a stone's throw from Anfield or any ground or whatever. But at the end of the day, you don't put any more money into the club than any fan from anywhere around the world. In fact, you probably put in less money to the club than fans from around the world.
Yeah.
Because as I've made the point several times before, when I go to City on a match day, I do my drinking in town, I do my drinking outside of the ground, and then I go into the ground for the game. They've got my money out of me for season ticket, and then I'm back off home or back off out in the town. Whereas if I'm coming from China or Australia or America or whatever, I'm way more likely to fucking hit up that club shop. I'm way more likely to go into City Square and buy a burger or a hot dog or fish and chips or whatever the fuck it is. I'm way more likely to, when I'm in the ground, to buy a pint or a bottle of Coke or whatever it is. So if you look at it on that sort of basis, me as a season ticket holder, I'm spending my season ticket at the ground on the day. Me as a Chinese fan, I'm spending potentially £200-400 on a match day. Granted, I might only come once a season, but there's fucking many more like me that'll do the same thing. So really, doesn't have to give a fuck about you in that regard.
I think you still have to, because of the look. You know, Pep always talks about the atmosphere. We need, like, to get over the Champions League, we need everybody involved. I mean, that game against Liverpool.
Until the Liverpool game and until the Tottenham game, we hadn't had an atmosphere in that fucking ground since we left Main Road.
Yeah,
we hadn't. We just fucking hadn't.
It was out of this world, man. I mean,
do you remember once, right, Martin and Karl? You might remember this as well, or you might have researched it a little bit. Once, I think we played fucking Jamaica in a friendly.
Yeah.
Do you remember that in about 1997 or something like that? It was fucking years ago at Main Road, yeah. Now it wasn't a fucking capacity sellout or anything like that, but the atmosphere that game, Man City versus fucking Jamaica in a friendly, was better than 95% of the atmospheres that we've ever had at fucking the Etihad.
Yeah.
But I think we have to be careful too, because if you go to, I mean, even Camp Nou, I've been to Camp Nou a couple of times. They're never full. Then they don't make a lot of noise. I mean, in the Copa del Rey game, semi-final or final, it's hardly full. There's not a lot of noise.
But those countries don't have away fans, though. They don't really have away fans.
Yeah. The new fan is a completely different breed, man. I'm telling you, it's a different mentality. There's so much football on TV now. There's so much, you just become used to it. And
well, you say the new fans, though, but the point is, mate, I'm still going to be on this planet for, I hope, at least another 35, 40 years. Yeah. And so's Martin, and so's fucking many others.
Yeah.
The new fan and the old fan.
Sorry, go on, Rob.
We've got to live together somehow. New fans and old fans have got to live together somehow.
Yeah, I mean,
but I think the atmosphere.
And I think to the fucking branding of football. I think to the global marketing appeal of football. When, like you said yourself, goosebumps when you fucking hear City on the telly or whatever, and you hear our away fans, or you hear it when we fucking call us a blue moon off, or God fucking forbid, the worst fucking crime that Manchester City ever committed, which is playing that fucking Scouse anthem at the start of games. Fucking hate it. Hey, fucking Jude. Hey, fucking go fuck yourself. Yeah, I hate that shit. But,
I don't understand why was.
But when you hear a rousing chorus of City fans fucking singing, it gives you goosebumps, and that does add monetary value to the fucking product that is football and is Manchester City Football Club. Yeah. So for that to fucking die out would be a fucking gross negligence.
Well, let's be honest there. If you look, I can count probably. I mean, how long have we been at the Etihad now? Since 2003?
16 years.
So we're talking 16 years. I can count on two hands only the amount of games I've heard a decent atmosphere in the place. But and I don't think it's just City. I think it's football in general now. I went to Anfield last season and I thought, you know what? I've been to Anfield a few times.
Fucking myth. It's a myth.
I'll tell you what, apart from when they come out, apart from just before they come out when they all sing You'll Never Walk Alone, other than that, you could hear a fucking pin drop in the place.
Of course
It
you
was
can,
a
'cause
low. It's
fucking
the
myth.
biggest myth walking about this Anfield, and the same at Old Trafford. It's football in general, and that's the way. And I remember the United game. It wasn't a couple of seasons ago. You know, the rearranged one against Bournemouth when they had the fire
Yeah.
evacuation. They went and replayed the game on a Wednesday night, didn't they? It was half fucking empty
Yeah, that was the
because they
only
couldn't
Wednesday
get
night
back up
football
for
I
the
was
Wednesday
seeing that
night.
season.
So the simple fact is, it's not a problem with City. It's a football problem at the moment with atmospheres and every way everything is. There isn't an atmosphere anywhere. There wasn't one at St James's Park last season either. You know, all these so-called big supported teams that have magnificent fans. It is a myth. It's a myth.
There's only one club that I go to quite regularly that has an atmosphere, and this is outside of Manchester City. City away fans, by the way, are second to none. The atmosphere that's generated by City away fans is fucking second to none. We'll outsing any cunt. I go and watch Rangers, and I love Rangers in Scotland. Their atmosphere is genuine. Their atmosphere is fucking real. Because it's the level of football being played, and I mean every disrespect when I say this, is probably about second division football, but they've still got genuine fans. They've still got fucking vocal fans on a weekly basis.
Well, the place that surprised me for our atmosphere, and it wasn't the full game, but for a good 40 odd minutes, was actually Palace away, and you had the ultras over in the corner.
Yeah.
Now, even they surprised me. I thought, that set of fans.
But they've only got one fucking song, mate. I was there. They've only got one fucking song. One of the things that's unique about Manchester City. One of the things that's unique about Manchester City is how many fucking. You mean you'd be there for a week trying to count all the songs that City have made up over the years on the terraces.
Yeah.
We're fucking incredible. You look at any team that comes to us that brings away fans, and by the way, only one team from my memory last season actually filled out their away allocation, and that was Wolves. Teams like Burnley and United and Liverpool that are so-called local big supported clubs don't fill out their fucking away allocations. A lot of teams send back their fucking third tier allocation because they don't fill it out. We sell home and away fucking regardless. But the amount of songs that a lot of these clubs turn up at the Etihad with, one song clubs. Newcastle have got two songs. You fat cockney bastard, get out of our club, and then fucking Newcastle. How fucking boring can you be? City have got fucking songs for days. And it's that breed of fan that I'll never, ever, ever want
and
to.
A lot of them is taking the piss out of ourselves, which is where the but what's the one called? We're Not Really Here came from. Taking the piss because they said we had no fans back in League One, what's now League One, when we were selling out Main Road. When we played Blackpool in the opening game, beat them 3-0, there was 34,500 people in there. All it was a piss take against ourselves.
Exactly.
Anyway, I have 2 minutes left, guys. Before I have to.
Oh, okay, right. So Carl's got to leave us now, and then it's going to be me and Martin. So let's try and talk about something a little bit more positive for the last couple of minutes of your time, Carl.
As long as it's not Sane, let's not go down the Sane road.
Whoa! Explain. I fucking love Leroy Sane.
I love him. But I'm pissed off with him right now. Change that. I'm not pissed off with him. I'm pissed off with the whole saga now.
Yeah.
I'm at a point.
I agree.
I'm at a point where I honestly think City should stick an ultimatum down on him. Because this is my way of thinking. The way I see it is the way Arsenal did with Nasra and Fabregas and all these players. The longer we leave this undone, the lower his price gets.
Yeah, maybe.
You've got an £100 million player there. If not in today's market, £100 million plus player that is just getting lower and lower in value.
Maybe.
Because he can't make a decision between his wife and his mum.
Yeah.
His girlfriend and his mum.
Carl, I don't know whether you've heard me talk about this on previous podcasts, but I've made massive points as to why Manchester City Football Club needed to sign Harry Maguire.
Yeah.
Do we need him or not?
I don't like the guy, man. I just don't feel like he's the one that we need to take us.
Wait, hold on. I'll rename him then. Harry Maguire from Benfica. He's Brazilian.
I mean, he's okay, but why not go for Toby Alderweireld, right? He's experienced, he's a better defender, and he's cheaper.
Because I can run faster than that cunt.
And we've also got Otamendi. Otamendi and Alderweireld to me are the exact same.
No,
Exactly. Like for like. We don't need like for like. We need something that we haven't got.
I would have Maguire tomorrow, and I'll tell you where he shot me. That game last season when he went down that left wing.
I just don't fancy Harry Maguire.
Just amazing.
I think he can play the ball out, but he's just.
That's what Harry Maguire offers. Harry Maguire offers something that the rest of our City defenders don't offer. And that's fucking defensive rigidity. John Stones, Garcia, fucking Howard Bellis, fucking Laporte and all the rest of it are fancy silky footballers who can play the ball out, can ping 40 years passes, all the rest of it. Well, none of the bastards can head a fucking ball, and they're both edges chickens when it comes to defending a corner. Harry Maguire is an old school defender who will fucking lump it when he has to lump it, and he'll fucking head it when he has to fucking head it.
But remember the Otamendi of 2007 Centurion season? He was fantastic, right? I mean, why can't he discover his form again? I just don't. 80 million pounds for Harry Maguire, man.
Mate,
I agree with that. I don't
fucking £100 million, £100 million for Edin fucking Hazard. Yeah, we took the piss out of Chelsea every time we fucking played him. They go on about Edin Hazard pulls the fucking strings. Did he?
But you got
where was he in the fucking League Cup final against Chelsea? It was fucking shocking.
You've got to remember, you've actually got the English premium on top of that.
Exactly. So in reality, he's a 50, 60 million pound player in reality. But the English premium is 20 million, 25 million. So that's why his fucking price tag is so high. But I guarantee you, Harry Maguire, and he's going to go to fucking those red bastard cunts across the road. But I guarantee that he is exactly what we need because he's exactly what we don't fucking have at this club.
To me, we need a new centre-back. Because we get one injury, we're screwed.
Yeah, I mean, I agree we need a centre-back, but I'm not convinced with Eric Ma. Meanwhile, Bruno Fernandes, did you guys watch that guy last night? He ripped Liverpool apart, completely tore them apart, completely.
The thing is, I've got to say, mate, it's all pre-season. In pre-season games, United beat us.
Man, no. What you got to watch that game, guy. This guy was completely in control. It was Liverpool's back four, completely tore them apart.
The only thing that surprised me with Liverpool is they haven't signed anybody.
They may end up signing this guy.
Have they not got Coutinho money left over or Suarez money left over?
It's done, man.
Are we talking net spend?
I'm not just convinced with him, man. I'm 50-50 with him. I'm 50-50. I don't know, man. I'm just not convinced that.
Right, every season that I've said to my mates, by the way, so I want to just get all this in with Karl before he has to go, mate. Every season with my mates now, 2 seasons ago, I said that fucking Raheem Sterling was going to fucking boss it and be the best player ever. I was right, and I've got fucking evidence of that from the previous podcasts that I've done for different things in the past. Last season, I said that fucking Bernardo Silva was going to be the player of the season and should win the fucking Ballon d'Or 50 times over. I was right again. Who's the player this season that's going to fucking step up? Because I think that every season you have that one. I think every player in this City team at the minute is a worldie, and is the reason why we're getting 98 points and 100 points. But even though they're all worldies, somebody still fucking edges out amongst the rest of them. So, Karl, who is that player going to be this season?
I think if Jesus gets his chance, he can be that player. I'm telling you. But he doesn't get the chance. That's the problem. Now, if Sonic goes away...
Look at who he's competing against, mate, for that striker position. He's competing against the world's best striker, Sergio fucking Aguero.
Sonic goes away. Why don't you play a front three of Jesus, Aguero, and Sterling?
Oh, Sane's not going anywhere, mate. I'll break his fucking legs if he does. He either plays for us or he don't fucking play at all. You've heard me say it, Leroy.
Get him to sign the contract.
I think he's going to go, man. I think he's going to go.
Nah, I mean, why the fuck would you go and want to go and play mediocre football in Germany to a bunch of fucking insular closet racists? Why? A country that won't even let you play for its fucking national team because they're all xenophobic and you don't play football in that country. Why the fuck would you want to go and do them a favour by fucking making their league better? No wonder people like Lewandowski and fucking all the rest of that were coming out of the woodwork and saying, come, Leroy, come, because they want to justify their existence in that league because they know in reality they're wasting their fucking time. Yeah? As that fucking United fan said on that thing, might as well be Celtic. That's exactly what the fucking truth is about the German league. Might as well be fucking Celtic because it is a fucking wankers league, right? Robben and Ribéry Robin and Ribery were stealing a fucking living for fucking 15 decades. Those guys ended up running down the wings with fucking Zimmer frames and crutches because that league is so fucking wank that they could play until they were fucking 37, 38 years old. So if Leroy Sané goes to that German league, he is wasting his career. Absolutely wasting it.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, you're going to play for Niko Kovac? Are you kidding me? You know, but I mean, why would you wear a red sweater, right, jumper, to the first day of preseason, come into the Etihad? Why? Dude is gone, man. He needs to just go.
I don't know. I think you've been reading Twitter too much, mate. I don't care. I've wore fucking red clothing in the past. I'm not proud of it, but I have wore red t-shirts.
You think about it. You know, you have a contract in front of you for a whole year. You haven't decided yet. Bayern Munich could just, you know, basically trying to get this player. I think he's gone. I think he's gone. My mind is made. I hope he doesn't go. I want him to stay. I love the guy because he kills Liverpool every time he plays. But man, if you haven't signed yet, what's going to make you sign in the next 2 weeks?
I would love him to sign.
Why does he need to sign at all? He's got 2 years left on his contract. Why not just fucking sign next season when he's won?
Because his value goes low.
I agree, but then say so. Say you want to, you know, you want one way to think about it.
He did do against United at the end of the game against Old Trafford. He got interviewed by about fucking 90,000 journalists and were like, Leroy, you're gonna be a City player. I fucking love City, mate. I love playing for Pep. I love playing against City. I love playing for City. I love fucking tonking these rag bastards. I love winning the fucking Premier League. He said all of those things during the fucking end of the season last season. So why does he need to say it again?
Totally agree with you, Rob. But what Pep said yesterday was the worry for me. Is when he said if he wants to go, we can't. You know, like Pep said, we can't do anything. We've done everything. We've done everything as a club.
That's like saying if it wants to rain, I can't change the weather. It was just pointing out the fucking obvious. It wasn't anything, you know, the things he was saying weren't exact. You know, if he wants to go, he'll go. Well, that's true. If he wants to go, he'll go. It doesn't mean he does want to go. It doesn't mean shit. Now, I'll probably be fucking wrong here, and I'll just edit this podcast to make me look amazing. But because Leroy will fucking probably sign a contract for Bayern Munich tomorrow, and I'll look a right fucking twat, but I'll make sure I won't because I'll edit it.
What worries me is he's had this contract on the table for so long, and we've upped it. I don't know if we've upped it once or we've upped it twice, and it's still unsigned.
Right. So that's Leroy Sané saga. Karl, give us your 2 cents, mate. You've got. Let's invent a period of time now. Give us everything you want to say about City before you have to leave, mate.
I absolutely love the club. I mean, I'm one of the new fans. I respect the history. I've done the research, and I'm all the way through, man. I love the history of what the club stands for. The local fans, the energy. When things are down, they're still there, and I just love the club. My kids are fans. I mean, my 3-year-old kid sings Wonderwall, sings Blue Moon. I mean, they're. Love it, man. Seriously, I'm privileged to be at this time where I'm able to enjoy the best football in the world, the best football in the world right now. So
you'll have to get your kids to learn the Alan Ball version of Wonderwall. Yeah.
yeah.
What do you think about us as Mancunians? I mean, like, because obviously, like, there is a degree of separation between watching what happens on the pitch with all these international superstars and then actual Mancunian people.
So whenever I come to Manchester, I try to come at least twice a year. I try to spend a few days and actually spend it with Mancunians, spend time with them. I have friends over there who live there. I love it. I love them. I love everything about them. The accent.
You have to be careful though, because we are at war with ourselves. Because there's this whole region of Manchester now called Ancoats that used to be fucking where all the poverty people lived like us, which has now become fucking gentrified and absolute Wankerville. So as long as you're not hanging out with that breed of Mancunian, I think you're
no man. I hang out with everybody. So I respect that. I hang out with everybody. I just like what's going on. I like the story. I can't support Arsenal, United, or Chelsea or Liverpool. I just can't. I used to like Liverpool back in the day when they were respectful. You know, back in the old.
To save you some graces, mate, I'll edit that out of the podcast because you don't want that known.
But I just completely love Man City, and I hope that this season we do it again.
What's your prediction for the season? How many trophies are you going to win?
At least 2.
Are we going to win the Champions League? And is it important if we do?
Premier League #1 priority.
Oh, I love this guy.
Right. Dominate your league. I mean, Champions League, 7 games when you win. I mean, think about it. The in the Champions League haven't won the Premier League. Think about it. Right? So
38 game season always means more than a fucking knockout competition.
It's a local league, and then with some luck in the Champions League, get that one as well. But with some luck of the draw, who knows? But I'll tell you this, right? If we didn't have VAR last season, I guarantee you would have won that Champions League. I'm telling you.
I'm begging, I'm crying out for VAR for things like the Ashley Young fucking tackle. Did you see that? Did you guys see that little video I put out a couple of days ago on the City, Man City fan TV?
I saw the
with my American voiceover.
Yeah, I saw the. I remember the Ashley Young tackle against Sergio Aguero 2 years ago. Man, it was disgraceful.
Can I just? I mean, Champions League. I'm going to be honest, and I might offend people there. I don't give a shit about it.
No, I say that every day of the week, mate.
Don't give an honest shit about it, and I'll tell you why. It's to glorify. It's a European FA Cup to me.
European Carabao Cup. European Carabao Cup, mate, not FA Cup. Laughed at
by some people. You know, I've got Liverpool fans telling me they're the best team in Europe. They're not the best team in England. And the last time I fucking checked, England was in Europe.
Yeah, it's a cup competition. Period. It's a cup competition.
Was it Bill Shankly who said, "Win your bread and butter"? Win your bread and butter.
The days in which the European Cup was the champions of each league, then it had some respect. And now it's everybody.
Yeah, the Champions League, exactly. It's not the fucking Champions League. It's the fucking Financial Fair Play League.
League. But a team knocked us out. It was, 35 points behind us?
Yeah. But listen, if we win it, I'll be happy. So, yeah.
Yeah, just to shut them up. But you do realise that when we do win the Champions League, because we will inevitably win it at some point, when we do win the Champions League, the next argument will be, we've not won it twice. We've not won it 3 times. We've not won it 4 times. We've not won it 5 times. You've not won it 6 times. So what I want City to do is...
It won't be that we bought it.
Well, every team buys it, don't they? Every team, by the nature of the sport, buys the I mean,
I'm just
there was this guy from Aberdeen who once said, I think he was called Alex Ferguson, and he said that any team that wins a competition or wins the league deserves it. So I think that all of those people that criticise City, especially the ones that are United fans, should listen to the guy that they all fucking deify. Anyone who fucking wins it deserves it.
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
Rob, I gotta go.
All right, Carl, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, Carl. Carl, can I just say, it's fans like you that keep the club growing. Thank you very much.
And it's fans like us that keep us in the fucking Stone Age.
No, we need you guys much as we need you guys, because you guys keep it alive and keep it warm and not cold. And I want that to keep going on. So,
all right, Carl, mate. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, take care.
Carl.
Bye.
All right, Martin. We've been going for 2 hours and 7 minutes now. So what we'll do is we'll do like a quick roundup where you can give me any feedback on any topic we've talked about so far today, and anything that you want to talk about that you think we've missed. So feel free, pal.
My big thing was Andy. You know, when we were talking about the media, and I didn't get a chance to say it earlier, but this is my big thing, and it's just come to me again now when you mentioned Alex Ferguson. Why on earth now? Unless there's some rule in place, why on earth are we not doing? Because you imagine you get Rob Harris and all these other wankers going into these press conferences asking questions nothing to do with football. Would Ferguson stand for that?
No, he'd walk out. He'd just walk out. He'd walk out and ban him.
Yeah, but exactly. Why are we not banning him? Unless there's a new rule now where we cannot do it. You know, he didn't have the BBC in the ground for 5 years. Why are we not just screwing? You know, you're not coming again. Ta-ra. That's the thing that is baffling me.
Because here's how I look at it. I think Manchester City have adopted the policy of we don't give a fuck and we'll let you embarrass yourselves. You ask the dumb questions, you ask the stupid questions, and you'll end up showing yourselves up. You'll end up putting yourselves out of business by the stances that you're taking and the line of questioning that you're asking. If you want to come here and ask us a bunch of dumb fucking questions, you make yourself look stupid. We'll give you the airtime to make yourself look stupid, but at the end of the day, we're still Manchester City. We're still fucking winning leagues. We're still winning FA Cups. We're still winning fucking trophies. So if you just want to come here and ask us dumb questions, go nuts. Ask the dumb fucking questions, because at the end of the day, it doesn't affect us in the slightest. We're still winning leagues.
Well, I mean, that's all it is. And the only thing I'm hoping for now is that we get a little bit busier in the next 2 weeks, because it's gone very quiet on the transfer front for me.
What, and we actually signed Harry Maguire like we fucking need to do?
Well, I'm quite open that the reason he hasn't signed for United yet is he wants to actually come to us and he's waiting for us. That's
Why would you want to go anywhere else? I tell you what, here's one thing, right? If Harry Maguire does go to United, yeah, are all of those same journalists going to fucking do what they did to Raheem Sterling and talk about how he only goes to United for the money?
Are the heck? They're not going to do anything fucking like that.
Because the only reason any fucking player goes to United now is for the fucking money. I'm sorry. It's not to win trophies. It's not to rebuild a club.
You know yourself, there's 2 headlines written already. If United or City pay 80 million for Maguire, they've got United headlines that he's better than Virgil van Dijk and he's the next everything else. If he signs for us, what a waste of money. Overpriced and everything else.
How many Premier League trophies has Harry Maguire won? He's won 1, right? How many Premier League trophies has Virgil van Dijk won?
None.
Oh, is it none? I thought he was the best player in the world.
Well, apparently so, but what I'm saying is that's what I mean. The media will already have 2 headlines set up, as they did for when we won the league. As it came out, they had everything set up for Liverpool to win the league because they didn't want us to win it. But as long as we keep going along, sticking 2 fingers up at everyone, like you said, I couldn't really give a shit what people think. As long as we do the business on the pitch, that's what matters.
Even if Sheikh Mansour, I've said this many times before, if Sheikh Mansour walked away tomorrow, we've got a self-sustaining business. It's already there. Exactly.
It's like this FFP. They're not investigating us now. This is 5 years ago. This is the original sanction that they're reinvestigating. That's all it is. They can't touch us now.
No, can't touch us. And I think it's hilarious, and I think we should just get the popcorn out and enjoy it and enjoy the football.
Yeah, I think we definitely should.
So you're going again next season? You got your season ticket, or you get your season ticket in the post at some point?
It's already arrived.
Is it? Mine's
ready to go. Start again. I'm going to miss the Community Shield till we're away, unfortunately.
I never miss it. Never miss out on a day out to watch the.
Well, that's another thing. Community Shield's nearly sold out. I'd love to have seen if that was against someone like a Watford or a Brighton. Would that have been sold out as much?
No, it wouldn't have been, and we both know it wouldn't have been. But
yeah.
I don't care who City playing, mate. I don't care. I honestly don't care who City playing. If I can go to a game that City's playing in, I'll go. Obviously, I've not gone to China, I've not gone to Hong Kong, and I've not gone to Japan.
Like I said, you're like me, Rob. You were there back in. We were going away to watch bleeding Lincoln City. I remember getting beat by Lincoln City in the bloody Coca-Cola Cup or whatever it was back then.
I remember playing against Wigan when Wigan was shit. I remember playing against fucking Burnley when Burnley was shit. Now, these are supposed big clubs now, aren't they? I mean, Wigan are recently in their history have just happened to have won an FA Cup.
Is that when our only legend scored an hat-trick?
Who is a club legend? Tell me who a club legend is, because to me, my club legend from that period of our history was Kevin Orlock. I fucking love Kevin Orlock.
Is it what? Do you want an actual club legend or do you want a media club legend?
I want what you considered a club legend to be.
Club legend to me is someone like, and I never saw them play, but it is a Mike Summerby. Is someone, a Tony Buck, a Joe Mercer, someone that makes you realise that where City were once and where they've come again. But, like you said, Kevin Orlock, I could have said Martin Buster Phillips, but he was shit. Or a Barry Conlon that looked like he'd just come on loan from a Sunday League team. It's an absolute...
Yeah, but the great thing is, back then, players like that gave us hope that we could fucking make it as pros, you know what I mean? Now I ain't got a chance. I couldn't even fucking lick half these players' boots.
I only remembered a few weeks ago that we had Jerry Craner.
Yeah.
Who the really stupid thing was, we got rid of Paul Walsh for him.
Yep. Well, do you remember that team that had King Cladze, Walsh, Rosler? There was quite a few fucking special players in that team.
King Cladze was, as I did on me fan TV.
Yeah, I know. I had an argument about that. I know, and I call him a myth. I think he's a myth. I think King Cladze is a myth. I think I actually commented on yours about how I thought that King Cladze was part of the reason why we got fucking relegated.
It probably was, but like I said at the time, he wasn't. He didn't belong in that team.
No, he didn't. It was light in darkness. It was definitely a fucking beacon of hope in a bunch of fucking shit. But
it's like Steve Lomas. Steve Lomas had a very simple team talk: win the ball, give it to King Cladze. That's all he ever did.
But how big in reality? How big in reality was King Cladze's fucking highlight reel? You know what I mean?
No, it's not big. And like I said, I remember going to Port Vale away. He wasn't interested.
Yep.
He
Exactly.
wasn't interested.
And that was my argument against King Cladsley. And I've heard other people make arguments against players like Sean Wright Phillips as well. Now, I was one of the happiest people on the planet when Sean Wright Phillips scored his first goal for City, under Joe Royle. And I think Joe Royle was fucking happy as well. But if we wouldn't have sold Sean Wright Phillips to Chelsea for 20 million or whatever it was, I think we would have gone out of business. I think that was the primary reason why Sean Wright Phillips was sold.
Well, apparently weren't we very close to going out of business twice? Yeah. One under taxing shit on water, and then you had it was the other one when, like you said, that time as well, because we kept getting bloody loans from the co-op, and then they want the loans back.
Yeah.
And that's the way it was. We were very close and going under, but that's what people forget. But we must have been doing something right back then, because we sold Gary Flitcroft for $3.5 million, Steve Lomas for $3 million, and back then $3.5 million was a shitload of money.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was still only just keeping our head above water, though. That was the thing. It was keeping our head above water. And there was that period, I think, in 96, 97. Maybe even into 1998 when we had 54 or 55, 56 players on the books. Just criminal the things we did.
Down a corner and finding someone new.
Yeah. So I'm just so glad that we're not that club anymore.
Down the corner, he asked some guy who was there, and he expected him to say the water boy, and he told him he was his left back.
For as much as I cherish the memories, and those memories I'll hopefully hold on to for all of my life, and I'll always talk about them. For as much as I cherish that time as a City fan, I'm so glad that we're not that club anymore. I really am.
No. But the one thing it did make me, I will always cherish them times because you appreciate this.
Oh yeah, 100%. And that's why I made a point as well about when we played Watford in the FA Cup final. Yeah, it was people have said it was disrespectful that we beat them 6-0. Well, go fuck yourself. I celebrated every single one of those fucking goals as if we'd never scored a goal before, because I remember those fucking times. I had people around me who didn't celebrate goal number 4, goal number 5, goal number 6. I don't get it. Celebrate every fucking goal we score. All right. So have you got any final thoughts, Paul?
No, I think we've said everything we want to say.
You've said your piece. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm fucking boiling, so I can't wait to open my window and turn the fan on, because it is fucking.
Yeah, I'm like that. No, I just want to thank you for having me on, Rob.
Yeah, thanks for giving us 2 hours and 20 minutes of your time, Paul. I think we've got a great podcast there.
Not a problem.
All right.
Not a problem.
Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Hi, everybody. It's Rob here. Thanks for listening to another one of our podcasts. I want you guys to remember that you are a community. You are our community. This channel is for the fans. So if you like the video on YouTube, hit the like button. If you dislike it, dislike it. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell notification, because that will really help you and it help us. The bell notification, basically, whenever we go live with content or whenever we put out a video, you guys will know about it first. And what's better than that, right? Also, with the podcasts, right now, we do put them on YouTube. If you're a YouTube Premium member, I know that you can download them and listen to them as audio files whenever you want. But we also have a SoundCloud account. Now, SoundCloud is just basically a great place to listen to podcasts. If you're in the home, you can cast it to your television, or you can listen to it on your phone or your tablet. Or if you're out and about, you can actually download it to your phone and listen to it on the go if you're going for a run or something like that. So don't forget to check us out on SoundCloud as well as YouTube. You'll be able to find it at MCFC Fan TV. If you just type that into SoundCloud, SoundCloud has its own app. It also just has a website, which is just soundcloud.com. Thanks again for listening, guys, and we will see you very soon.